Did that work? I don't think that worked. Hello? Right, it's not showing us.
Nope. What did you do?
I've never used Streamlabs before. I don't even know if they can hear us. Why is this not showing?
Look under your brand button on the right.
On the right, yeah.
And see if there's a photo up. Wherever this image is, this welcome image.
Right. Welcome back. Add overlay. StreamYard overlay. If I do that. There we go.
Oh shit, we're off to a great start.
I've never used this before. I thought that was going to be like a little bit of a background with our squares inside of it.
No. You gotta make that. You gotta make like a PNG file.
I thought I did. Oh well. Welcome in, everyone. We have 147 people in already. Wow. Right, I'll reel off the participants real quick, and there is a way for me to get the comments live on StreamYard, and then I can pin stuff. Just bear with me because I've never used this before. Amateurs, Crow, suck my ass.
Newbies.
Right, and tonight we have the Paranormal Monkey Podcast, Adam Hartree, Ali B, Ali Oops, sorry, Ali Oop, Alan Williams, Amy and Ozzy, ANBK Intuition, Anana Banana, Arelis, Awil Jenkins, Azriel Hades, Better with the Irish, Big Dan, Blue Sky Lissa, Boobery, Bookie 1961, Catherine, thank you for the 5 gifted members, Brian Reinhardt, Carol Martin, Karen King, Celtic Queen, Chrissy Phillips, Christine Feeney, Cops and Roberts, Oi. No, okay, sorry. OKL, that's Oklahoma or Oakland. Craig Adams, Crow Judas, blah, blah, blah. David Smith, Dealey Boy, Dean Bailey, Dr. B, Dr. Deb, Emma B. I've just mixed 2 people in one, I'm very sorry. Fantastic Publishing, Genesis, Ghost Wiener, Ghost Quest, Glasgow Hunters, Hammertoe, thank you for the 3 months. Glenda Watt, Jackie Benjamin, Jake the Muss, that was a film, right? What Becomes of the Broken Hearted, it was. Sorry, I go on tangents. Janice Crammon, J.A.D., Jenny Mann, Jimbo Jones, Jolene. Judy Caravalos, yeah, you'll do. Caravalos. Karen Hawkins, Catherine, Katie W., Kenny Biddle. I know a guy called Kenny Biddle. Very nice man. Laura Jordan, Leeds and Shetland, Lilith, Linda Kofi, Laurie Chox, Mags McLeod, Major Truth, Mandalorian Mama, Martin Weller, Matt Lyons, Medina Sterling, Melody Moon, Mia Buck, Mike Larry, Mr. Badgers Macabre Music, Mr. Croc and the Strange, Mrs. Geek, the Beautiful Wife, Nancy, Nessa Harris, Dowsett, Nick, how's the camel toe, Nick? Mr. Blobby, Annalise Parple, Reach Beyond Paranormal, Ronnie Rose, Rural K-Ross, Sam K, Sandra Picorni, Scottish Pride, Shredmaster, Simply Spooky, Sparkle Catcher, Steph Curvo Queen, Steph, Super JJ, Susan Lawton, Ghost Files UK, Trevor Anderson, Tuppy, Bash, and The Wanderer. Woo! That was a lot.
That was a lot. That was good. Great. It's great that you get so many people that pop in here. That's so nice.
Yeah, it's insane. Like I was streaming on Twitch for a long time, and I was nearing Twitch partnership, which is near what YouTube partnership is, where you have to get 400 hours, 1,000 subscribers and stuff. Mm-hmm. It took me 3 years to do it on Twitch, and I never got there. And then I normally I'm back down to streaming to like 20 people today. Well, not today because I streamed on YouTube today, but down to 20 people. And I'm like, it's cool. But, you know, there's 20 people when there's however many millions of streamers. So I'm happy with that. Right. And then people are like, oh, why is it so quiet in here? It's like YouTube's a different beast for me, a completely different beast, you know?
Okay.
So, guys, we are live with Kenny Biddle. And this was actually Kenny Biddle's request. Thank you for the membership. This was Kenny's request. you may have seen that me and Kenny did a podcast before over on Kenny's channel where we discussed. I don't know. We got drunk towards the end, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean that tends to happen on my show. You usually get a little intoxicated. So
yeah. So if you guys don't know who Kenny Biddle is, Kenny Biddle and Mr. Grey are the two guys I shout out more than anyone as my influence into debunking. Started with Jason Hawes and Taps because they were the only team that weren't going, oh, a ghost, run away. And when one did, I think they fired him. But but yeah, Helena M, thank you for the 5 gifted. I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. But I started watching Mr. Green, and then he did a video on the SLS, and then he said, "Check out this guy Kenny Biddle." And I put Kenny Biddle on the TV, and my wife says, "I've been watching this guy on TikTok. He's awesome." And then we binge watched everything, and then we found. We found the Center of Inquiry as opposed to the Kenny Biddle channel. And I'm like, I thought this guy would be hundreds of thousands of subscribers. He knows more than any of us, and more of us are shouting your work out. So,
thank you.
But in regards to debunking, I mean, it's got to a point where I fear I release a video and 10 minutes later, Kenny Biddle messages me and I'm like, oh, what have I got wrong now?
No, it's just once in a while. Once in a while, I'll do that. And if I see something that's just I've recognized, like with the photograph, the nighttime or long exposure, the guy took of the blinds and there was light shining through. I mean, I just have years and years. I did photography. I did wedding photography, portrait photography, and special effects and stuff like that for years. So as soon as it flashed on screen, I knew what it was. And I wasn't, it's always hard when you make a comment because it never comes across, you know, like it
I get what you
mean. Exactly how you want it to.
Yeah, I get what you mean in regards to how do I tell somebody, because I've done it myself, but I'm just like, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and
right.
I'm going to tell people I'm wrong. And obviously I did a video about it because I thought, you know, if 17,000 people or however many it was at that time had watched the video, it was still pareidolia, but obviously I got part of it wrong. And if I'm not honest with all of it, then there's no point me doing what I do.
Right, and it's just more or less to help out. That's all. Like I spotted a mistake, and I've done that with everyone. I've done, you know, and people do that with me, which I mean, it's great. I love that. If I screw up, tell me, you know, so I can fix it. Because I don't want to be wrong. You know, I don't have an ego, but I just don't want to be. It drives me crazy when I get something wrong. And I can feel like I noticed your behavior afterwards. Like it really took it to heart. And I
it was I didn't take what you said to heart. I took it like I've put out something that's not 100%, and I don't like doing that.
Right.
So in case you guys haven't listened to me for the last 2 years, and I've said go and check out Kenny Biddle, and you haven't, Kenny, do you want to tell them a bit about yourself and the Center for Inquiry?
Yes. So I was a ghost hunter. Many, many years ago, I was doing pretty much the same shit that you react to. So the videos that you react to, I was there. I was a ghost hunter. I thought everything was a ghost and didn't know what I was doing. I had an experience in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where I was mistaken for a ghost. Like an entire group of ghost hunters literally mistook me for a ghost. And they started telling everyone at a conference that we were at that they saw an apparition, they saw this. And even though I gave them all this information, they just refused to accept it. And that really made me think about things. And I started looking more for skeptical literature. Like how's the other side doing this? Because I'm doing something wrong and I don't know what it is. And then I realized I was doing pretty much everything wrong, like everything. And I went through an angry phase because I was really mad at myself for doing such a bad job, realizing that I told families that their house was haunted when I had no idea what the hell I was doing. So I buckled down. I picked myself back up and said, you know what, I'm going to learn about this. And I got into photography because I had an interest anyway. Started working that, started learning a job, started reading the literature. Skeptical Inquirer magazine is the magazine that I write for now, and it's been a big help. I got hooked on the work of like Joe Nickell and Ben Rafford and other people that wrote about these topics and went through a scientific point of view. Methodically went through investigations, and I learned so much from them. And I started pretty much, they were my inspiration, and I kept going with it, kept learning. And my thirst for learning has never been quenched. Like I continue. That's why I have up here, it says never stop learning. I mean, that's my motto. And the more I learned, the more I was able to figure out what was going on with claims, with videos and pictures and audio clips and all this stuff. So I started lecturing at different places, and I caught the attention of Skeptical Inquirer magazine. Free plug here. That's the latest magazine. But I caught the attention of people here, and they started asking me to do things like freelance for them, do some lectures. And then I was invited up here to a staff retreat, which I was the only one that wasn't a staff member that was invited. And I was like, that's cool. You know, that's really cool. And not long after, my predecessor, Joe Nickell, who did this job before me, retired. And they asked if I wanted to do the job because they liked what I did. So here I am. This is what I do for a living. I get to investigate this shit for a living. They pay me.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is so great.
All right, so we've got a question there from Steph Curvo Queen. How do I get a picture to Kenny to get his analysis of a photo? Is that possible?
It is possible. My email is the letter K, Biddle, Biddle, at centerforinquiry.org. You can send it there. I'll take a look at it. I get emails all day, and I don't mind at all. I mean, I appreciate people asking for help or reaching out and trying to get a different opinion. So if you send it there, I'll take a look at it and I'll let you know what I think.
Paranormal Monkey podcast. As skeptical as you are, Kenny, do you think the paranormal is real?
So I don't think there's any validity to paranormal claims. And over the years, I just haven't found any evidence to support that there is anything that would be considered paranormal. And there's a caveat to that, because paranormal is such a blanket term. It is not just one thing. It's a blanket term. It's like saying like a TV show. That's just a blanket term, you know? And so I don't know. I have to look at each claim separately by itself on its own in order to determine whether there's anything to it or not. But I don't hold any beliefs in the paranormal. And that's something I usually explain a little bit more. Like, I don't hold any beliefs. I was raised Catholic. I left religion way behind, but I don't hold beliefs because I find beliefs are just difficult to change. People hold on to their beliefs, and they get afraid to let go of them and to move on. So I don't have beliefs. I have ideas. I totally stole that from Dogma, the movie Dogma.
That's a brilliant movie.
I love that movie. So there you go.
What about a debunking team idea? Beardo, Kenny, Mr. Grey, Side Eye Guy, just an example, get together and do live debunks. I think that'd be carnage.
I agree with you. That would be total carnage. I've jumped on a few lives with like Side Eye Guy, and I also like Joe Vitale. I've been on with him, and it's chaotic. There's a lot of discussion going on, but there's no real debunking, and it's kind of hard. Like, I like the way you guys do it, like you and Side Eye Guy and others out there that do the reaction videos and go through it, because I simply don't have time to go through videos. I give you guys so much respect, because I could not fucking last through any of those shows. Like, some of them shows, I watch 5 minutes of yours, and I'm like, how do you do this? How do you put up with this bullshit?
Sometimes
drink.
There are the odd, like, I did a Mac and Amanda video, and I was so not only was I bored by it, sorry, but I was insulted as what was being portrayed. And I'm just like, these two girls are high, clearly high. This woman is, I think it's the first time she's ever got high because she was falling asleep in the background and stuff. And they just like, dude, the doll moved. And I was like, is this what people watch and then say, that's the paranormal? And then watch my investigations, my friends' investigations, and then go, yours is crap. Nothing happened. Well, yeah. There's a lot of stuff out there that I've struggled with. Easy money for me. Do a really haunted debunk, and I'm like, I've debunked everything that man has ever put out. I really don't want to do it anymore. Sometimes I'll do it for comedy.
That's how I kind of feel. Like I've come across him before, and it was a result because I did a video about the Connect a while ago, the first version, and I made a comment about how the stick figures are usually anchored to one spot, and because with the older version they are, and even with the newer version they were usually anchored to one spot. However, with the newer version, it's much easier to create a video segment from a stick figure where you can chroma key everything out except for the stick figure, and so much easier.
I did it with My House Is Really Not Haunted Part 2, but just to up the game, I took his stick figure video that attacked him, and I had it mount my back instead, and then I beat it up with a slipper and stuff. So it wasn't just like turn the opacity up and take the white out. I literally tracked it frame by frame just to challenge myself because I'd never done it.
Okay.
Well, I put it in, and it took me about 3.5 hours to track this stick figure, and there's little slips on it.
Yeah.
For 3 seconds of footage, the people went, that was funny. Did you just get bummed by a stick figure? Yes, I did.
Oh, man. Yeah, I have both models, both versions, so I can hook it up to my laptop and just take footage. And basically, like, the easier way to do it is when you have one of them, you can turn the, I think there's a gamma setting.
Yeah.
You turn the gamma setting all the way up or all the way down, and it makes the screen completely white, except for the stick figure. And then, you chroma key it out and with a click, and I can do whatever I want. You know, you can dance around and have some fun, and you can put all these stick figures in your video. Yeah,
I just wanted him to watch the video. I know he watches my chat. I just wanted him to watch it and then go, is that me on top of his back? It just, I've got to have fun with it. I've got to have fun with it. Otherwise,
absolutely,
you know, I get bored. What would you guys consider to be real evidence of the paranormal? Go on, Kenny. You can go first.
All right, I'll give you time to think about it. That's a difficult question. Again, paranormal is a blanket term, so I guess the most straightforward thing would be if a spirit, an apparition, just appeared right in front of me, hung out for a little bit so that I could like poke, because that's the first thing I would do.
Yeah,
seriously, if one popped in front of me, like I would be poke to see if I could go through it, see what it felt like, if anything, and then ask a few questions, like, can I take a meter out? You don't mind if I take a reading? You know, like this and that. But that's what you need. You need something like that, because everything else that we see, like apparitions from a distance, shadow figures off in a distance, noises and stuff, these all have logical explanations. And we can, when we dig into it, we can find it. So it's not enough. That's, for me, I think that's it. Like, one would have to appear right in front of me and hang out for a while.
Obviously, I'm more of a believer than you are, but video wise, I think there would be an air of skepticism no matter what, including my own footage. You know, I'm not going to say that was a ghost or that was a whatever, but to me, evidence, it would have to be I see something right in front of my face that I cannot deny, and then hopefully the video footage has backed that up so I know I haven't hallucinated it.
Right.
So if the video is captured, if I've seen a figure in front of me and maybe it's spoken or whatever, and then my video camera has backed that up, that then is the ultimate proof. But then that is a Nobel Prize winning sort of, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, it's
really,
not. It's only your video footage when you put that out.
You're right. You need not only multiple witnesses, but you need documentation. You need good video quality, not this shitty stuff that we see on some of the videos where it's like zoomed in and it's pixelated and blurry.
Yeah.
And there's pareidolia all over the place and stuff like that. No, you need a lot of documentation over and over again. Repeatability is one of the things in science that is required. You need to be able to repeat things like this. So not just once, it would have to come back, 2 or 3 times, and for multiple people.
Yeah. It's obviously we've got different views, and I think that's why you wanted to do this, wasn't it?
Yeah, because one of the videos I was watching that you were doing, you mentioned me, and I was like, uh-oh, what's he gonna say? And he's like, oh yeah, and you're like, Kenny would do this and that, and I thought, like, yeah, man, most of that, yeah, but then there was a few things, and I don't recall exactly which things I wouldn't do, but there were a few things where I was like, nah, I don't think I would do that, at least that way. And then that's when I had the idea, and I reached out. I was like, hey, maybe one day we can do this and actually talk about our different ideas and approaches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just a discussion, no
because we had a conversation quite similar on your stream where we were going through beliefs, and I'm like, it's my belief system, and then you said, I'm not gonna ever take your belief system away from you, which is something I've taken into my debunking, and you know what I mean? Right. If somebody believes in, or if somebody is a practicing voodoo, like obviously I know the difference now between voodoo the religion and voodoo what's on the TV.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's not an evil, horrible thing at all. It's a religion, and it's like people were saying to me earlier on today, what about curses? Do you believe in curses? Like, I don't. But if you believe in voodoo, and you believe 100% in voodoo and voodoo curses and hoodoo and all of that, and somebody curses you, your belief system could then change everything into that being reality, or vice versa. I'm not messing with that. I'm not going to tell anyone, I'm not going to sit here. I'm not religious, but I'm never ever going to sit here and say your God isn't real, because who am I? I could look very stupid at the end of it.
I have that philosophy that your beliefs are your beliefs, and that's it. And I will fight tooth and nail to make sure you keep that right to have your own belief. The problem I have usually when I start speaking up is when somebody starts preaching to everyone else and telling them, you have to believe this, or this is a fact because of my belief. And that's simply not true. And you really have to analyze it and go through it. And let's see if it really is true, not just because your belief said so. But I'm also outspoken on my own ideas. Again, I don't have beliefs, but if you have beliefs and you're going to get up in front of an audience at a conference and you're going to tell everyone, this is what I believe, and you're presenting it as fact, then I have just as much right to get up and say what my ideas are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, good.
Yeah, and like, I think
you're a qualified demonologist. I forgot. Hey, I'm a parapsychologist. I have a diploma up here.
Did yours take 30 minutes?
Yeah, I did.
Apparently, that bishop despises me. He's all over his social medias and everything, like this guy is this, that, the other. And I've had a few of his fans come into lives like, Bishop Long, and I'm like, that's not very Christian of him. And that's all I'll fire back with. I'm like, that's not very Christian of him. And apparently he's made all the courses free now after what I did with my video.
Well, they're not fucking courses. They're just videos.
It's videos. And most of it was, so I'm going to teach you about demonology. Back in 1989, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. All these other guys that have had these experiences, crap, because I'm me.
Right.
Get a bit preachy here for me, Bishop.
So as far as I know, he's not a Catholic bishop. He is part of the United States Old Catholic Church, which is a small sect.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's not part of the Roman Catholic or Orthodox or anything like that. It's not I don't really consider him a real priest.
No.
At
Glasgow
all.
Ghost Hunters, thank you very much. I appreciate the membership. I had a lot of really angry people like, don't call him a Catholic just because he says he is and he weighs,
Right.
you know. I was like, all right. And then I looked into it. I was like, Jesus. And obviously seeing him on Ghost Adventures, and I was like,
Whatever. Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
I mean, there's legitimacy. Illegitimacy.
If you're going to claim to be the font of all knowledge in regards to demonology, maybe not go with the worst of the worst. Because while they might be slightly more entertaining than all of the others, it's for all the wrong reasons.
Right.
I'm genuinely still in shock that people watch that for this could be real.
I mean, I've had people reach out and they'll send me a message saying, hey, you know, like, how can you be such a skeptic because there's so much evidence out there? And my first response is always like, what evidence do you have? Like, please send me. And I'm very polite. I'm not being confrontational when I say this, but it's like, show me the best. Send me the best evidence that you think proves without a doubt the afterlife exists, ghosts exist, all this stuff exists. Just top. I want to go to top. I don't want to work my way up. Let's start right at the top. And I've had about a dozen people respond saying, well, Zack Baggins. And stop. I've had one guy say like there was like 17 seasons or something of Ghost Adventures that shows beyond a shadow of a doubt. And I'm like, yeah, we're done. We're done. If that's what you think is evidence, you will have nothing to stand on.
No, no, Taps. Now, obviously, me and you have a friendship with Jason Halls. Your friendship dates much further back. And one of the conversations I had with Jason was, he was like, no matter what you think of Kenny, if I do something, he will call me out for it.
Yes.
We'll have an adult conversation, blah, blah, blah. I was like, right, cool. And he was like, this is why I like you, because you're a bit more fiery, but you do what Kenny does. You're like, this is, I need to see facts. I need to see evidence. Dead cold. Yes, I'm wearing your shirt. And then I'm like, there are elements of that show that I've brought up with Jason that I've made a video about where I'm like, I've got questions. There's an issue. But for the most part, when they're debunking things, when they're climbing up into ceilings and finding speakers and all the rest, I'd never seen that before. And then you've got Yvette and her crew running around throwing stones at each other and overlaying themselves walking in the same coat up a flight of stairs. And I'm like, Zack is even worse than Yvette Fielding and Co. Like, not even they do what he does.
Right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. You crack on.
Jason and I mean, we're going back like over 20 years that I met him. I met him before Ghost Hunters aired the first season. They were out at a place called Eastern State Penitentiary in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. And we hung out. Fucking crow. Who let him in here?
I mean, I've got to let him in. It's his birthday yesterday. Can we, while we are chatting here, can you guys just reel off a load of happy birthdays to our good friend Crow Judas, please? And Kenny can carry on.
We met there. I happened to be there at the same time, and they were filming the infamous episode of the Dude Run episode there. So we got to talking, exchanged numbers, and we spoke every so often over the years. And then he would call me once in a while during filming and ask like, hey, what do you think about this? And I'm like, oh, there, like I don't think it's this. I don't, we go back and forth and discuss it.
Yeah.
I see him at conferences, and in more recent years, we talk a lot more. And like we talk probably like once a week now on the phone and stuff. And we hang out together, spend like little vacations together, just hang out. And I enjoy it because it's a good example of showing like we're polar opposites. Like he's the poster child for ghost hunting TV show, reality show.
Yeah.
He's that. And I'm on the skeptical side. I write for a skeptical magazine. So we couldn't be any more opposite with that. But we can sit down and have a conversation, completely disagree, and as soon as the conversation is over, have a beer, hang out. What do you want to do? You want to go out on the lake? You want to go this? You want to do this? Yeah, let's go. And we just hang out. So really nice guy. And you're right. Like his show, they did debunk. They did go back and say, oh, you know what? This isn't right. This isn't a ghost. Yeah. Whereas so many other shows, Ghost Adventures, will say, what is that? What is that? And they'll do like cut to another camera, and then somebody gets possessed by Zack, every time. And then it's just a circus. It's a complete circus. So yeah, I do like Jason. I like Jason in the way he handles stuff. And I also like that he's honest about it. When you call him out.
I mean, I like the fact how awkward must it have been for him as Cody's dad after the videos I put out. And then me calling Grant fake, for him to come to me and be like, you're a cool guy. You've got a point. I need to look into this. And I'm like, you should be calling me a bully now. You should be getting my videos copyright struck. You should be silencing me. And he was like, no, and obviously we've had conversations. It started through your stream that I started speaking to him because I said, Jason Halls probably hates me. And then you finish your stream and we carried on talking. And you were like, Jason's just messaged me. Is it okay for him to speak to you? He doesn't hate you. I was like, that's not how you behave. What type of ghost hunter is he? But I've had brilliant conversations. I mean, the last time I spoke to Jason, he video called me. And he's just walking around his house. And he's like, oh, the wife says hi. I was like, oh, hello. I was like, oh, my wife says hi. And she went, it's Jason Halls. Massive fan of the channel. But then the more often it happens, it's like it becomes the norm. And he's just a guy. And he's a guy that happens to be more patient than most.
Yes. Yeah.
And I can disagree with him. Disagree with him. And he's not rude about it at all.
Right. And that's the way it should be. He's very laid back. And if you have a problem, come to him. Go to him and tell him your problem, and that's what I'll do. I'll call him up or I'll text him. Same as like when I comment or message you. Like I'll call him up and be like, yo, I saw this last episode. I got an issue with it. You at timestamp like 47 minutes. That was not a ghost. Come on, man.
Yeah.
And but we'll talk. He's really, really nice. And we give shit back and forth to each other. I think he's a very honest and down to earth guy. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had all of that drama last week. I saw my phone flash, Jason Halls, and I was thinking, is he going to say, what have you done this time or anything like that? And it was, what do you need? Publicly or privately, what do you need? This is out of order. Death threats, threats of violence. And I was like, I'm good. This happens all the time. And he was like, you don't have to put up with that all the time. So, it's just keyboard warriors. Whatever. I'm going to respond to it. Otherwise, everyone will think they can do the same thing. And I'm not putting up with it. But, it's just the type of guy he is. His wife is lovely. We had a conversation with his wife as well. So, and I wish a lot more people could see that, because I went hard at Jason and his daughter. Yeah. And he still shows me a level of respect that some people, where I've said, that's overlaid, or not even that's overlaid, you're misconstruing something, and they're like, you're a hateful, horrible man. What? Am I?
Right. Right. And you know what? It goes back to like what we touched on earlier. It's most of these channels are putting out content where they're using a loudspeaker to say, this is what I believe, this is absolutely true based on my belief. And you're just having a conversation back doing the same exact thing, but you're the bad guy. You're the bad guy because you don't agree with them. So, I mean, and that shows immaturity and unprofessionalism when you cannot just have a conversation. Like, I can disagree with you. If I think it's overlaid, if I think it's something that was added to it, if I think you're using a mask to hide something in a video, I'm going to say that, and I'm going to point it out. And if you want to have a conversation about it, feel free. You don't have to put any hate. I don't hate anyone. Even the people I've written about and make videos of, I don't hate them. And it's nothing personal. This is my business. This is what I do for a living. So, I mean, I'm open to conversation if you want to.
Carl McGowan, Beardo, do you think ghost hunters should take a skeptic on an investigation? Yes, absolutely. I think every paranormal team should take a skeptic out with them if they don't have one. Because otherwise you're in an echo chamber. If everyone is an out-and-out believer, then... I mean, me and Dean both believe because of personal experiences, but we don't believe everything we see. And then even if we react to something at the time, when we get into editing, we're like, right, we got a little bit of adrenaline going on. We misconstrued something, then put the video out, and then somebody will say, actually, that noise was a bat in the back. And that's, you know, I'm not going to take offense to that. I'm like, actually, that is. And then I'll put a comment, I'll pin that comment that's pointed out something. And I think that does need to happen more. Right. So Ouija Mama says, I haven't watched Kenny, sorry, but how do you think British investigate, I think that's supposed to be investigators, to American ones? Plus, do you get as much abuse as Beardo? Nobody does.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, one day maybe we can compare notes. So I don't see much of a difference. I think, I really don't see much of a difference. I mean, I've watched several programs via you and like Side Eye Guy and everyone else that does these kind of videos, reaction channels. And I see the same methods, the same poor quality methods over and over again. So I think everyone just watches reality TV and does the same shit. They don't go on their own. No one has purchased a science book to realize like how you really should go about doing experiments. As for what was the second part of that question? That was
hang on, I've got to scroll up. Ouija Mama, where have you gone? All right. And do you get as much abuse as Beardo?
Oh, so yes, I do get quite a lot of abuse. When it comes to death threats, yes, I've had plenty of those. I've had lawsuit threats, and I get them through here. I print them out and hang them up on my wall, but it goes through legal. Like every time I get a threat like that, I have to notify my boss. They have to notify like legal department, and then they take care of it. I can't do anything, and they take it over. But yeah, and I've had people send me messages saying, you know, I heard you're going to this conference. Don't expect to leave. Okay, like, all right, I'm still going. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. How many death threats do you reckon you've had?
Shit.
Because you've been at this years, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't even been just me. It's been like people wishing my family gets hit by a bus, you know, and just disgusting things. I mean, I can't really put a number on it because I ignore most of them, unless it really comes to where it's constant. Then I usually report it and go the distance. And I've done that 3 times so far, where I've had to actually report it to police because it's gotten out of hand. But the rest are usually just like, you know, just tell me, they're going to beat the shit out of me, or you know, they hope my family dies in a car crash, stuff like that. And it's just one.
Yeah, I've had that stuff.
It's horrible.
I'm on 9 proper death threats. Proper, I'm going to find you, I'm going to kill you. I had one guy, and it was probably the best threat I've ever had, if there's such a thing, where he was very specific. He's like, I'm going to cut your ears off. So, it's very specific. Yeah. He's like, I know when you're investigating 30 East Drive, I'm coming for you. I was like, all right, cool. So at 9 o'clock, I'll go outside, I'll have a smoke break, and we'll meet you there.
Right.
And I'd gone to 30 East Drive with the 2 nicest people. They'd never met me before. So obviously I told them about it. And about 10 to 9, they were like, you're really going outside, are you? So yeah, he's not coming. And if he does, then, you know, that's on him. I've got the death threat saved and blah. So I goes outside. I've got my camera and I'm like, right, it's 5 past. I'm going back in. You've had your 5 minutes. And that was probably the most serious one. And he just didn't turn up.
Yeah, that is specific. Like, I've never had someone tell me that they were going to cut off a specific body part.
No, it threw me for a bit, and then I'm like, but he did the same threat to other people, and I think it's basically because he was a content creator that we didn't put any stock in, and then we realized he was probably quite dangerous.
Okay.
Right, there was a question I pinned in, I've lost it. Right, Crystal, I'm actually going to post this one because I remember how we met. I wasn't keen on Beardo. That changed. I watched quite a bit of debunking now, and he's opened my eyes. However, the threats to Beardo are shocking and disgusting. He isn't a bully either. See, Crystal really didn't like me in the beginning. She was never rude, never ever rude, but she was like horrible. But most of my community, a large percentage of my community, is built up of people that at one point really didn't like me. 3 of my mods came from a channel that I kept debunking over and over again because they were horrible people.
Wow.
And
that's good.
You know, these people trust me now, and there's a bit of a change in the air. I can feel this change in the air. I'm going to do a video, Barry, this week because next week. Monday, Kenny's got like a 20-minute or 25-minute feature in Monday's video. I didn't even edit it down. I just put the whole thing in. I sat there like, ooh, right, that's my EMF in the bin. The REM pod's gone in the bin.
Oh my god, that took me like 8 hours to film. I mean, I don't know about you, but sometimes I sit here. I'm so much better at like just doing live things, answering questions, doing live. But if I had to do something where I'm semi-scripted, nah, forget it. 20 minutes takes 8 hours to film.
Carrie Swanson, thank you for the 19.99. Thank you very, very much. If I do cut you off, I've got to read the super chat out, obviously, because Kenny is welcome to our events. Our opinions may differ on experiences and evidence, but if you aren't faking things and have an open mind, debunkers who challenge your claims shouldn't bother you. I think they should be leaned on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you need someone to challenge your ideas. I mean, because you said it. Otherwise, you're in an echo chamber.
Yeah.
You just show up. You have your friends that are there, and they are all going to agree with you, and just tell you, yeah. And I think it's that too. I think it's a ghost. I think this and that. But you need someone to challenge you. You need someone to say, well, what about this? What about that? You know, were you actually there? Like, what were the other people doing here?
Yeah. Dark Hollow, thank you for the $10. F the trend, change the paranormal channels and shows stop making money. Then these people would change their beliefs real fast, and then you would see who's really in it for the real evidence. I agree and disagree. I've got friends that go out week after week and they spend more than they earn and they never capture a thing, but they do it for the love of doing it. But I get what you mean. I absolutely get what you mean.
I think a lot of, what do I want to say here? We should treat these things as entertainment. They are not educational shows. They are not investigative shows. They are entertainment. That's it. And if you do want to take it to the next level where you are giving proper education and showing proper investigative techniques, then learn how to fucking do them. You know, like don't pretend that you do. Don't pretend that because you watch some reality shows about paranormal stuff that now you know how to do everything, that you're a demonologist or you're a psychic or you're an investigator of anything that's weird. You're not. You're just you're inflating your own ego. Take the time to learn methodology, learn about science, learn about controls, learn about skepticism and critical thinking and all of this stuff, and then you will become a better investigator. Just don't pretend that you are just because you watch TV.
Yeah, like there are channels that I'm wearing the t-shirt of one right now. You got the Ouija Brothers, Dead Cold, Ghosts on Trent and stuff. They go out, they try to capture. Now, they don't claim to be the font of any knowledge. It is, we've experienced things in our past or we would like to experience, and we are just recording our experiences, and then you guys, enjoy them. But if you've never watched these guys, the REM pods don't go off, the K2s don't go off, and if they do, it's right. What has caused that? All right, it's a plug socket here. It's this. It's a new. The Ouija Brothers has been out for 7 years, but it's quite a new thing for YouTube where these guys are going out and being honest, and to try and make a 30 to 40 minute video of nothing happening. So they put really nice B-roll shots in, and they'll put an app on and then they'll mock the app and be like, oh, what is that really? And that's the way I've started investigating. When I say investigate, I don't mean a paranormal investigator, because like you've said to me recently, even to get an EMF reading, you can't do it in one sitting. It's every corner, multiple angles, and that I found fascinating. We're all using EMF recorders wrong.
Yeah. All
of us. I've got a tri-field meter, but what a piece of shite that was. It was a cheap one. Teresa Shewell, thank you very, very much for the $9.99. Cole, if I'm going to show this, am I going to get in trouble? I want to see the underwear Beardo buys with my... If you hear the guy talk, he sounds like Crow. We've never seen him in the same place at the same time. Equipment. That video you recorded and sent to me it blew my mind that even what I thought I knew, I have been doing completely wrong. Like, holy shit. I can't even use an EMF.
Yeah,
because I've got the same model. I've got that grey exact same model, and I'm using it wrong.
Yeah, and this is not something. This is why I'm, I guess, so adamant when it comes to education and understanding, because so many people watch the TV shows, and that becomes their training. Like, I'm going to watch a couple episodes or a season or two of this ghost hunting show, and I'm going to know everything I need to know. Or they sign up for like an online course.
Thank you, Crow. Jason Hall sent me a course last week. He's like, I'll pay for it. Do you want to do this ghost hunting course with me?
Oh, is that the certification?
Yeah, like, Jason, you're more qualified than these guys. But it's a bit of a mess out there right now.
Honestly, it always has been. It really has. I mean, since I've been into it, and I mean, I started back in the 90s, the mid 90s.
Outspending Crow. See, I like the way Joe Vitale investigates.
I was very impressed with Joe. I got to meet him for the first time at the Bel Air house a while back, like a month or two. I don't know. Everything's blurred together. But I got to meet him and see how passionate he was and making sure he got things right, and when he was they took out one of those radios that cycles through the stations, which I just so hate. I just despise those things.
F you, Cole.
But he made a point to put it in 2 Faraday bags, not just one, but 2, which is great. That's a great control. And the owner of the house asked, like, why do you do that? And he had a great answer. He knew what he was talking about, and it was just refreshing to see that, because that's what we need. That's the kind of shit we need. Not this EMF meters, this and anything that lights up and makes a noise for every goddamn reason. We don't need that. That's not investigating. That's anomaly hunting. That's what that is.
Yeah, for everyone that is asking questions about, I should have probably said this earlier, for everyone that's asking questions about what are we talking about, you'll see it Monday. This video, I was going to make this really heavily edited, multiple cameras zooming in on me in a dark room and all this. And then I was like, it's Zack Baggins. What the F why am I putting in more effort than he does? So I've done this out here, and there's Kenny goes, I asked Kenny, the equipment that Ghost Adventures use, can you, whatever stuff you've got, whatever you can debunk, can you just explain? And there's a 20 to 25 minutes, I think, section. And the EMF, it blew my mind. I was like, really? And a lot of teams need to see this. Now, if you've got your EMF in a bed, and if it is answering questions and it's lighting to a certain, if you ask for a certain color light and it does that over and over and over, that is still interesting. But to go in and do a sweep with it, you're using it wrong. To go in and use it for most things, you're using it wrong. And I had no idea.
When I see segments where they're using like a K2 meter or something like that, and they're asking questions, usually I see the camera shifts or it cuts to a zoomed in shot of the K2. So we don't see the surrounding area. And some of the things, I won't give everything away, but like you can make that go off from a distance.
Oh yeah.
And you can also make it go to certain lights. And it's relatively easy. And if I'm not seeing an entire wide shot of the area and everyone is present within that shot, I can't trust it. I can't trust it, especially with a lot of the channels that you've reviewed, because we know they're not just, they're less than honest, let's say.
They're out and out liars, some of them. Hey, Segways. Mr. Side-Eye Guy is in the house. Colin Creos, thank you for the £10. I've always been super skeptical, but also very open-minded. The figures have really diluted the waters and made me more cynical. You and others have kept me going from closed-minded on this subject. At the end of the day, I believe, because of personal experiences, not because of videos, I disbelieve most, if not all, videos. But occasionally, I'll see something, and I'm like, that's really interesting to me. And I'll revert back to CAG at 30 East Drive. And people were like, she's run a wire up the banister, under the doll, and then up around this other banister, and somebody else is upstairs and she's pulled it. And I'm like, you've gone off a 40-second clip I've shown, not the 3-hour live stream that I watched, where there is a woman, no disrespect to CAG if she is, Alison, if she is in the chat. It's a 60-something-year-old woman who trips over her own feet and all the rest of it. There is no way she set that up. And she even says, it's probably gravity that's done that. But I'm at the home at the most violent poltergeist in the UK. But some of the stories where she's run wires here, there, and everywhere, and I'm like, off the 40-second clip, you've got a point. Other than you can't see anything. But I watched the 3-hour live stream where she's up and down the stairs. She would have kicked a wire or accidentally pulled a wire. They're too clumsy not to. They keep falling over. They fall asleep doing S-test methods. They're fantastic to watch.
A lot of people forget about gravity. Gravity and micro movements. And that's something I really want to get into when I finally get around to doing that video about the house in between. I want to do some recreations for that. And we've talked about that. I've sent you that video. I mean, it's gravity is a bitch. And it can take a long time to affect something. And if something's right on the edge and it's right about to fall, it could take hours, sometimes days before it actually falls. So, and the only way to understand what's going on is to put a camera right next to it, profiling it, and just see like the side view of it and do a time lapse, go back and forth. And you'll see these hours it takes for micro movements for it to finally fall. So it's fascinating. I mean, I think it's amazing, but it's probably responsible for most of these objects that fall by themselves.
Ghost Quest, thank you for the £5. Right, I've missed a few there. John Stubb, thank you for the 5 gifted. I'm just making sure. Morton, thank you for the membership. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Guys, if I am missing stuff, this is why I don't usually bring guests on. Me and Parple did it, but my audience understand. I don't do it very often because it's a more personal thing, but this community adore you, as in Kenny Biddle, like, because me, Mr. Grey, I think the Sheep has shouted you out. Obviously, Side-Eye Guy shouted you out and worked with you. Parple has shouted you out. Mythos has shouted you out. Everyone is kind of aware of who you are. Like, who's this Kenny guy, you know?
That's humbling. That's really, because I had no idea. Like, you guys, I've recently become aware of you guys within the last year, really. I mean, I think that's what it is, because I don't spend a lot of time on YouTube. Basically, I do my investigations. If I do a video, I put it up under the Center for Inquiry website. And then as soon as I'm done, as soon as I save, I watch it, make sure I didn't screw anything up.
Yeah.
Because, oh my God, it happens so much. But once I'm satisfied and I'm done, I send it off. That's it. I don't think about it unless somebody asks, about that topic, or it comes up again for some reason, like at a conference or a lecture. I don't think about it. I move on. So, most of my time on YouTube was watching. I spend hours and hours watching like visual effects tutorials. Like how is it done? How do they actually do it professionally? What do they look for? I watch mystery things, like how do you solve this crime? How do forensics work? How does this? And I want to learn all that stuff because I put all that into practice. And then I guess I do watch some ghost clips, and I do watch like paranormal shows once in a while when I have to. And I guess it finally meshed together. And I think you were the first one that popped up in my. You know what? It was Mr. Gray. He's the first one that popped up, and then once I watched him, and I was like, oh, okay. And I think it was the one about the Connect, and I commented on that, and then I started getting a flood of other channels. So I met you, I met Side Eye Guy, and Parple, and all these, and I was like, wow, this is great. And if I can help out, this is a great community, and because it's a community, we're supposed to help each other. That's what community means. We help each other. So if you ask for help, if I can do it, I'm going to do it. Because that helps all of us progress. It helps all of us learn, and we all do a better job. And I think that's the nature of the beast. We have to be a community.
Yeah, and I think this is what is starting to separate this from other communities, is that as fake paranormal teams, they'll go out in their little clusters, and then they'll sort of push out other teams, and this is our patch, and it's all a bit weird and nothing I've ever wanted to get involved in. I won't work with a faker. I won't go out with a faker. And then there was one asked me to work with him. I said, yeah, but when you pull out the DR60, I am going to mock the shit out of you. And then he never got back to me. So, but there's no gatekeeping in this community. There's nobody being like, I'm Mr. Debunker, I was first, I'm biggest, I'm this, I'm that. You can't be a debunker and mix with these paranormal communities that you think is real. It's like, welcome in everyone, and everyone's opinions are valid. And we now have people that I have made negative videos on that I recently went out with, and we hashed it out on camera, and there'll be a video about it. I didn't investigate with them that night, not because of any problems. It was just we run out of time. But it's just amazing to have all these people with so many different viewpoints, and then these people that I made negative videos go on, I've learned from you. How do we progress? How do we? And it's like, well, you lose viewers because nothing's being thrown and all the rest of it. Right, hello to you both. Has there been something that wasn't of the mundane, everyday things in life that's genuinely frightened you?
No.
I knew that was coming.
Pretty simple. It's there been something that wasn't of the mundane. So, everything, I immediately go after it. If something strange happens, I am heading right towards it. I want to see what's going on. And I usually don't find, or sometimes I do find a cause, like an animal or a person or something fell, or I don't find a cause. And then I'm left with, I don't know. But it doesn't frighten me. And I will admit, though, back in my ghost hunter days, I did jump a lot more, because we spent a lot more time in the dark. And now I don't do that because I don't see a reason to spend time in the dark. Most of the people that I talk to have experiences with the lights on. So I see no reason to turn the lights off.
Yeah. Depending on who you, obviously the law in the United States and the UK are very different. Like, you're doing abandoned in the UK and not breaking the law in the States, you could possibly get shot in the face for it. So, So obviously in the UK, it's not illegal, but locals get annoyed with it. So that's why there's a lot of night vision in the UK. Is they don't want the locals not, get out, be phoning the police and
right.
So I get that regard. But yeah, I went to 30 East Drive where there's power, and midnight we turned the lights out and investigate in the dark. But my reasoning for that is you're always a bit more on edge in the dark, and then maybe it comes down to psychology. Then, if is there a chance of something happening if you're scared? And in a way, it's investigating, but it's a way of investigating that you were gonna just pull that face you just did.
I mean, you have a point. I'll give you. You have a point. So maybe there's something that we're not aware of that only happens when you can't see or in very low light situations. And there is stuff that happens, biological stuff, is physiological, that we can account for. But it's also like my idea is that it's. I want to see what other people are doing, how they react. Like, why are they investigating in the dark? Is that because you've always known it to be that way? Is that the tribal knowledge that's going on here, or is there something specific? And what is it? If there is a specific thing, why? And what really gets me is when people turn off the lights, but then constantly use their night vision, or they turn on a laser pointer. And that's even worse. When they put on the laser pointer, that's like a laser grid. It's like, what do you think you're doing? You just turned on visible light. You can see it. Like, just turn the regular light on.
AC tried to defend using... Right, the Randonautica app developer said that the whole thing was being abused and not used the way it should have been. And he designed it as a bit of a joke. So... is AC bollocks to that guy? Sorry. I don't want to do that when you're on, but yeah, F that guy.
All right. This is your show. You can do what you want.
I listen, that guy can... His opinion is completely invalid when he says, I've got this computer program that doesn't exist, and then when you find out it does exist, it would fit in a server room, not in his laptop. I'm done with it. When he says anyone that uses an app is fake, and then there's videos of him using an app and then denying it, no. There is no forgiving.
Oh, I know who you're talking about now. It took me, sorry.
Yeah. I don't even want to say his name because I want to bath after it. He's I can find the good in most people, you know. I can see the good in a lot of people. I can look at different perspectives. I've got nothing with that guy, nothing at all. To fat shame people and I'm like, I went at him hard, and he didn't fight back anywhere near as hard as he fights back against females. And I'm like, yeah, it's everything I need to know about you. You know, call me fat. I'm gonna laugh at him and be like, yeah, no, I did this to me. Don't do it to a lady, you know.
Right. But I totally agree. I mean, I can work with almost anyone. I don't. If I know you're a known faker, if you've hoaxed stuff before, I'm not going to work with you. If I just don't like you, there's a few people that I just don't like, and that I refuse to go out with or have anything to do with. Steve,
yeah.
But there's what was that? What was that? But even people, like you mentioned it before, you've made negative videos towards some people, and you've spoken with them afterwards. You've worked with them. You've done stuff. I've done the same thing, and I'm fine with it. I enjoy that. If we have a difference of opinion, again, it comes down to it's not personal. This is work for me. So if I make a video or write an article or do a live thing, I'm usually going after the content. I'm usually going after what you're presenting. I'm not going after a person personally, because that's just not, it's not professional.
No,
that's it.
I had it recently. I had some guy who was like, you're a bully, you're toxic, you're nasty, you're this, you're that, you're the other. You were bullying in your video, you were condescending in your video, you were nasty in your video. I haven't watched your video. Hang on.
Back up.
Like, you may need to go and watch the video before you keep posting all this stuff. Right. He was relentless with it, but he's still like, I haven't watched the video. I'm not going to watch the video because he's toxic, nasty, and I was like, you do realise that I said you actually come across as a very nice man, and he was like, too late now. Look, all right. Dear Beardo and Kenny, apologies this has been asked. Great to see Kenny on here. Question for Kenny. Do you believe in the paranormal no matter how small, and if so, what was your experience?
So I do not have a belief in the paranormal. I'm open to the possibility that something might exist, whatever that might be, but I have not found any evidence or sufficient evidence to say, yeah, there is something here, whatever that will be. Again, paranormal blanket term. So I don't know if ghosts exist, or apparitions, or sounds, or whatever. And for experiences, I haven't had. I mean, again, when I go back to my ghost hunter days, I could probably list a bunch of alleged experiences. But then when I look at them today, and I have done that, I actually went through what I used to call case reports that I would write after every ghost hunt that I went on. And looking at them like 10, 15 years later, it's so embarrassing because it's the grammar's bad. Yeah, you got to say something?
Yeah, I missed the super chat. Amy and Ozzy, I'm very sorry I missed your super chat. How far back was it? I'm sorry.
That's what happens. You get distracted.
Yeah, and this is why Right, there we go. Amy and Ozzy, £5. Thank you for the £5. Have you ever heard DVP, direct voice? My sister and I both heard my mum say hello at the same time on 2 different occasions. Listen, I think Kenny will actually for once agree with me on this. If your mum has passed and you have heard your mum's voice and that makes you feel better, don't let anyone tell you any different. Keep it. Absolutely keep it. We've heard voices in this house. It's not directly related to anyone, so I tried to debunk it. But if my wife said a family member, I feel much better for that. Yeah, it was your family member. Have it.
So I agree with you the way you handled that. I mean, I'm if a personal belief like that brings you comfort, then by all means, I'm not going to interfere. I'm not here to crush your dreams like that.
No.
And if somebody asks me, I'll usually tell them like, it's not something I really want to comment on. If does that make you feel good? Does that bring you comfort? Yes. Then why don't we just leave it at that? If they insist, if they keep going, and they usually it's I hear a response like, you know what, I'm going to hold on to it. I'm still going to believe it, but I would like to hear your opinion anyway. Then I'll talk about it. I'll say like, we do hear things like that. We hear white noise that's created by different things in our house or in a building. And it might sound like a name being called. It might sound like your name being called, but you don't know. No. I wasn't there. I can't hear. Like if you hear a noise, no matter how detailed your description, I will never understand completely what you heard because I didn't hear through your ears. I didn't hear through your perspective.
Yeah, it's weird, and I'm very careful about people's personal experiences. And it's why I will never do a residential case. If somebody says to me, I think my house is haunted, I nearly did it, but it was for a friend of mine and his daughter. I've known them 20 odd years, and they were like, we don't want you to come out and tell us it's haunted. We know it's haunted. Just come out and see if you can capture something for your channel. And I'm like, that I'll do. With people who know exactly who I am, what I'm about, that I'll do. Because I know they're not going to be pissed off when I come out of there 12 hours later and say, it's your heating pipe. But yeah, residential. I won't do residential cases. I think there's. I watched a live stream podcast with the Paranormal Monkey podcast, and a guy called Kev K. And Kev K runs a UK-based. They do house visits, but they try to disprove as opposed to it's haunted. They'll go in and they'll check for carbon monoxide. They'll check for, black mold and educate. Kev Kurtz, Kerr, I believe is spelt.
Yeah, I know.
Dead cold will be very, very nice guy. I've got some messages through friends to him. Like I want to meet this guy, work with this guy, and learn from this guy because he's 10 years ago. He's me. He was the guy on the internet pissing everyone off.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Right. And I also agree about residential cases. I don't like doing private homes, and actually, let me rephrase that. I'm not comfortable with paranormal groups, amateur paranormal groups, going into private residences and giving professional advice. I think that's an issue because most of the time they're not qualified to do so. Because you have to remember, when you go into a home, the homeowner's looking at you with like matching T-shirts or polo shirts, whatever you have, bowling shirts. You have Pelican cases full of all this equipment that the homeowner usually doesn't understand, and you look like an authority. You look like an authority figure. So they're going to hang on everything that you say. And that's a huge responsibility. So if you tell them that their house is infested with demons and they freak out later and leave or sell their house at a loss, that's your fault.
Yeah.
That's because of what you said.
There was a team that I enjoyed that did nothing but house things, and then I saw a few things that were off. And they were supportive of me until I was like, so what's this? Oh, you're a bully and a piece of shit. All right, cool, whatever. And then I was like, what about the mental health? What about the it seems like everyone that's featured on your channel has issues. There's no money there. You can tell by the houses you're visiting. And I'm like, this is getting dangerous now. And then there's a video pops up, a very famous TikTok thing, completely fake. And then there's another video I did where I was in the positive light about it. Look at the help they're giving. Look at the help they're giving. 2 years later, the same woman that's had her house exercised and everything is clean and there's no demons has got Zack fucking Baggins doing the exact same thing with no mention of this other team. And I'm like, she's not mentally ill. She's wanting the celebrity thing. You can read these, can you?
Yeah, I can read them.
All right, cool. There you go. There's a question for you.
I was just letting because every time I put questions up during my show, I usually read them out anyway. But so what is your point of view regarding UFO, UAPs, and also your opinion on the whistleblowing in Congress last year? I think the congressional hearings were a complete waste of time. I had the reports from both that were released. I read through them all. The second one was actually interesting because it went through detailed reports from like 1940s on up to the present, and just nothing, absolutely nothing. They found no evidence of anything. The first report was a waste of time. It was more guidelines than anything else. The whistleblower, you have to understand that if there was a person, the whistleblower law does not protect someone when they're telling about UFOs and stuff like that. When you actually go into it and read the description of it, it's more for harassment and sexual harassment and other harassments like that. People invoking their power of authority over top of you and making you do things, that you don't want to do. But it's not, it doesn't pertain to UFO and saying, I know classified information, I can put it out there because I think the public needs to hear it. That's not what it's covering. So the whistleblowers are just a bullshit term for them to feel important. And if you listen to that congressional hearing, the whistleblower does no statements that he makes are firsthand. They are all second and usually third and fourth hand. He doesn't even know most of the people that made the claims. So he witnessed nothing himself. And it's just a waste of time. With the recent UFO, UAP stuff, I think people need to stop jumping on the bandwagon. I think we need to realize that leaked footage, it's not really leaked. it's released. That's it, because there's nothing to see. The leaked part comes from conspiracy theorists.
My personal opinion of it is, how come every time somebody in the United States government gets into trouble, aliens are found? Biden falls up a flight of stairs. There's an alien somewhere. Yep. Take the attention off Biden. How do you explain my experiences as a kid? I saw an apparition floating, had something fly across the room just after I left, and a duvet tugged at and feeling like I was being watched. It was horrible at the time. Lisa, I can't because I've experienced weird things in my life, and that then forms your personal belief. If you had a video of all of this and it's something that scared you, then I could try and break that down to make you feel better. But I wasn't there. And this is the thing people get wrong about me is I'm not here to crap on your beliefs or your paranormal experiences. I look at videos. I've had paranormal experiences. I don't know what they were, which is why I go out into these abandoned and into these paid locations, is to try and experience it again as an adult to see if it was real or just the imagination of a kid. And this thing's happening in this house, and I try to debunk it all the time. But I can't explain your experience with a kid without being there or seeing something with it. Kenny may have a different outlook.
I mean, this is no. I'm pretty much on board with you. I mean, I don't know, and I'm not going to ask Lisa how old you are, but like, how long ago was this? Because we're dealing with a memory that could be 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago, and we're relying on your memory. And I'm not saying anything negative about you, but human memory sucks. It really is bad. I mean, look at any court cases where people mess up. Look at how many people were convicted and then later on set free because a witness testimony was wrong. I mean, we make mistakes. So
look at the conversation we had about the Ouija board experience from when I was younger. And I told you about it. I put that video out, and then somebody came to me that was there and were like, that didn't happen. You got the date wrong. You got the date wrong, and I was convinced it was that date. Another friend confirmed the date, but then he said somebody was there that wasn't, and three of us confirmed that person. What we all remember it, all different, and memory is so unreliable. Right, Johnny Paranormal. You know, Mrs. Geek. What I'm saying is, this guy don't believe. What's he done? Where's he ghost hunted? If you don't believe, then you would be going solo in the craziest places in the world. This is what some people are not understanding about Kenny. Is he was a ghost hunter for a long time that thought he was having experiences.
I mean, I've been to a bunch of places. Let's see what I'm saying. The guy don't believe. Yeah, I do not believe. I used to, and then the more I learned, the more I properly investigated, the more I understood that I was making mistakes. What have I done? I've investigated so many places over the years since '95. I've been investigating places. Let me rephrase that. I was ghost hunting places, and then gradually around 2007 or so, I actually started investigating because I was looking into details and looking at the claims being made and figuring out what was causing them, or realizing that there wasn't enough evidence to come to a conclusion. And the conclusion is, I don't know. And that's as far as we could go. And I continue to investigate places. I continue to not only go and do field work on site, on location, but I do a lot from here. What's your resume? Well, unless you're going to hire me, I'm not going to send you a resume. But I mean, what's yours? I mean, my qualifications come from a background in photography. I also I was an auto mechanic. I was in aerospace, and all of my training, like everything. I also worked on X-ray machines for the tri-state area in the states, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, also Delaware. So I was an engineer for them. And all of my training has been diagnosing, figuring out a problem and making it work, or figuring out what was wrong, what was the cause, and then going after that, fixing it, realizing what's going on. So this translates well into investigating because I'm trying to figure out what is causing all of these claims. If people see a shadow, if they see a figure, if they hear a noise, if they feel a vibration, what's causing that? You know, I'm not sitting on my ass in the dark asking questions to something I hope is there, you know, so that maybe I can get it on a recorder. And I'm not making fun of the ghost hunters. I'm just saying in general, that's not what I'm doing. If you have a specific claim, I'm going to go figure it out.
Yeah. And I know that was putting you on the spot a little there, but I don't want to ever silence either side of the conversation because I suppose in a way I'm a fence sitter because I believe, but I disbelieve so much. Kenny's response to a theory that the paranormal is real but cannot be caught on camera or scientific equipment in general.
Kenny's response to a theory that the paranormal is real. So that's for for one thing, and this is a nitpicking, it's not a theory. You can hypothesize, but that's not a theory. Theory requires much more testing and evidence, and has gone through stages. So you can hypothesize that the paranormal is real, but cannot be caught on camera or scientific equipment. I'm not sure what the question is.
The
Theory that the paranormal is real.
The way I read it was maybe we just don't understand it yet, and is there potential?
So I think there would be potential, but here's the issue. So if somebody reports seeing a ghost, they saw a ghost. Okay, so it's either, there's two things. Either it's in the visual range of light that will be picked up by a camera, or it's in their head. They hallucinate it. So we have to figure out what's going on there. And if multiple people saw it and can describe to a good degree the same thing, then we know it's in the visual range of light, and it should be able to be recorded by normal video cameras and still cameras. So if we still can't, then what are we seeing? What's going on? Then we have to dive deeper into it.
Yeah. Right. Kenny, I have a photo from 12 years ago. My wife took it, and it shows a figure. It looks like it's kneeling at the end of the bed. Can I email it to you for your take?
Sure.
Right. For anyone that wants photographs or anything like that looked at, I'll link Kenny's email in the video description after the live has ended, and then obviously send them. It'll be a work one, yeah. It'll be the yeah. Cool.
One, yeah.
Right. There was another one. Evening Beardo, evening Kenny. I have a question. Do you know of any countries that the governing body of that country has put money into investigations of the paranormal? Germany did. Under the ruling of, that horrible. I know they put money into it. I don't know if the states.
What are we talking about, though? Are we talking about like haunted houses? Or are we talking about parapsychology, like psi?
Yeah, it's a huge question. Like, I know AH was big time into the occult and things like that. So Germany, yeah, but I don't know.
The states had Project Stargate, which was looking at remote viewing, and I've heard that they've spent money investigating psychics or mediums to see if they could come up with stuff, but the programs never lasted because they didn't pan out. They didn't show any kind of results.
We got a question of the night there.
Beard. Maybe we'll see. I mean, it's summertime here now. It's warmer out, so I won't have a beard at least until it starts getting cold. Which I don't know. I live in Buffalo, so it might be cold next week. We'll see.
I mean, I live in Wales. That's why I've got this. It's cold all year round. Yeah, those questions, guys. Obviously, the guy was trying to poke a little bit, but I'm not silencing people, and his questions were answered. I
mean, you're going to have people that question all the time, and that's fine.
Yeah, and they should question everything.
Yeah, question. I don't mind. I really don't mind. But be ready. I mean, because if you're going to ask for like my qualifications, then I'm going to, in kind, ask for yours. Like, what's the difference? I do have a technical background to look at this stuff, to analyze this stuff, and give results, to give an opinion. So, and if you do as well, great. Let's work together. But if you don't, and you're just trying to poke, then.
Yeah, it's the same thing I fire back with when people are like, "Oh, who made you an expert in debunking?" It's like the same person that made the paranormal team you've just watched an expert in the paranormal. Just because you've got a video camera doesn't make you an expert in anything.
You don't need to be an expert. I mean, all you have to do is observe something and point something out and say, "Oh, you know what? He says it's this, but I'm seeing something in the background that can make that." Like.
Yeah, and I have never, ever, I mean, I'm a demonologist now. Well, I did a 2.5-hour course, but for me, I've never claimed to be an expert in anything, but I know how to edit, and I worked with CCTV for years and years and years. So I've got, photography-wise, no, it's not there. But CCTV video, how that can be manipulated, or my strength is how CCTV failed skipped frames, or like there's that one with I did the other day, a Nuke's Top 5. There's one was at the kitchen. I'm like, I think that's just a bug, but it looked like this big black mass ran past. And then I'm like, look at the shadow on the wall. It's missing in some frames. Some people are going to claim that to have been added in, and they've cocked up. It's not. It's just moving faster than the frame rate of the camera because the focal point is too close. You can tell by the color. Washout by the things.
Yeah. When it's overexposed. Yeah.
Yeah. And it, I debunked something else by a bra.
I saw the thumbnail and I was like, oh, I got to see this. Where did the bra come in? I haven't watched it yet, though. So don't spoil it for me.
No, I won't. It's, but yeah, that's where, like, I'm not an expert, but then they're like, none of the debunkers are experts. And then I will argue that Parple, he doesn't debunk anymore, but he did. But he is a video editor by trade.
Right.
He's a professional editor. So, yeah, he's an expert in debunking video because that's what he does for a living. He makes videos. He understands video on a deeper level than any of us. Mr. Gray is a graphic designer. So he's got his specialities in, and he understands edit. Whereas I'm just like, I call myself the everyday man debunker. Because I've investigated for so long, because I've edited, I've got little bits of a lot, whereas some of them, they know so much about specific things. And, if we get stuck, we come to Kenny Biddle.
I do the same thing. I mean, I don't go to myself, but I go out to other people. I do have a roster of people that I can look at and contact and say, hey, when it comes to possible mental health issues, that's not in my wheelhouse whatsoever. I'm not qualified that. So I will go off to somebody else, psychologists that I'm familiar with, that I'm co-workers with or colleagues with, and say, hey, here's a situation. What do you think I should do? Because anytime I detect or get a hint that there might be mental health issues, I immediately tell them, call your GP. You have to go that route. I can no longer help you because I don't want to overstep my bounds, But if they keep asking questions, I will reach out to somebody else that is qualified and say, how do I handle this? What can I do? What should I do? And I'll follow that advice. And I think that's good. You should be able to reach out to other people and get different opinions. And I mean, this whole community, that's what we do. Reach out to other people. If you don't know, it doesn't mean it's unsolvable or that it's unexplainable because one person doesn't know. There might be somebody out there that does. So reach out to the community. And I don't consider myself an expert at all. I don't refer to myself as an expert. I know a lot about a lot of things. I know a lot about a few things. I know a little bit about a lot of things. And what I don't know, I will sit here and learn. If I'm faced with a problem and I don't understand it, I will seek out experts in their field. I will read about it through the thousands of books that I have here. I will research it and I will become familiar with it to try to understand it, because that's what we're investigators. If you call yourself an investigator, that's what you fucking do. That's what you gotta do. And if you don't, if you're just stagnant, you're not doing anything but entertaining yourself every weekend when you go out.
And there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to entertain yourself, if you want to make an entertaining video, great, but don't claim to be an expert, and then don't have a go when somebody that knows what they're talking about a little bit more says something you don't like.
Right.
Right, guys, I know there's a few questions, and people are like, could you ask Kenny this? But you put the question much earlier. If Kenny is up for it, maybe we could do this again, but we'll get a comment section where we can preload it with the questions, and then we can try and get through those questions specifically, but we record it and put a video out as opposed, because we're going to miss so much like this. There's 369 people watching, and I apologize that we are missing stuff. But I know a lot of you guys want to ask Kenny stuff, and I'd love for us to be able to answer all of it, but we'll never get around it all. Maybe we could do a recorded video if Kenny's up for it.
I mean, I do have a show, my own show, in like 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, further down the line, we put a community post out, get a load of questions in, because you're gonna get questions that are different, but at the base of it are quite similar. We can talk behind the scenes, whittle it down into an hour or 2 hour slot, record it, and then put a video out of us answering their questions. Or go to Kenny's self-help bar tonight at the
Skeptical Help Bar, 8 p.m. Eastern time.
There we go, which is about midnight in the UK, I think.
I think. Well, I don't know. You're not good with time zones.
I'm not. I mean, I said GMT earlier, and apparently GMT only applies to 6 months of the year.
It's all good. It's all good, man. There's always going to be questions, and I feel the same way. Sometimes I get through a show and I don't answer on them all because there's just not enough time. And I'm open to questions. I love fielding questions. And I mean, if I don't know, I don't know. But that's pretty.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Most of us are not afraid to say we don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's simple. I mean, I don't. If you're gonna make up an excuse, like, and I'm not trying to say people like just fabricate things all the time, but when you're asked a question about something in the paranormal genre, sometimes people have a habit of just making it up based on their beliefs. Like, I've heard this, I've heard that, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to give you bad information. I want to say, if I don't know it, that's what I'm going to say. I don't know. I'll have to check back. I write it down. Like during my show, I try to write down notes on. Oh, here it is. My notepad here. And
sometimes I write stuff. You've been in my lives. Normally, they just carnage with me hitting ban hammers and telling people to go F themselves, and it's all for comedy value and stuff. But yeah, I don't take notes because my streams are normally very different. But now and again, I like to do things like this, where this, and hopefully get some eyes on this guy because he's influenced us all. Hey, Dawson, how are you doing? You work with Dawson, right?
Oh,
with
my God. Guy and stuff. Who let him in there? I'm just kidding.
I've got a lot of respect for Dawson because him and Side Eye Guy did that and then worked together. Fair play to them. And he's learned, Side Eye Guy's learned. That's great for the paranormal and investigating and YouTube. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I met Dawson at the Bel Air house. And we had a lot of really nice conversations. I mean, long, really detailed, in-depth conversations. And it was great because he wasn't shy about it. He didn't back down. We had our conversations. We talked about our both sides. And that's good.
There we go, Scottish Pride. Thank you very, very much. That's really helpful because I was lost earlier. But this is a change that I'm seeing more and more, is like what happened with Dawson and the Side Eye Guy with me and 2 channels in the UK, where it's like you butt heads for a bit and then it's like, all right, how can we both learn? How can I accept what they're doing? How can they accept what my opinion is? And then, I mean, one of the guys completely changed his channel description. He's like, I'm not a paranormal investigator. I'm a guy that goes out and gets scared, and I love to get scared. And that's what I put out. And
that's good
for him.
Yeah. I think the thing, it's easy to disagree online. I mean, everyone, it's so easy to do this. Like, we can put out a video, we can disagree and not talk about things online. It's really easy because you just you step away from your phone or your computer or whatever, and that's it. You don't think about it. But when you show up at an event and they're there, like I happen to go to a lot of paranormal conferences that are in the area. Like I love to attend them. And I run into people that I've written about or that I've made videos on. And I guess the best compliment I've gotten is they're usually like, well, you're not who I thought you were. Because I do want to talk to them. I do want to understand. And I explain, like, it wasn't personal, it's business, you know, that's it. And let's
Beardo, you look like a young Eddie Hall. Eddie Hall is 8 years younger than I am.
That's good then.
I mean, he was Britain's strongest man, and he was in the world's strongest man. I mean, nowhere near that shape, but I bet I could eat more than him. I've seen him on Beard Meats Food, and that guy can't eat for shit. But yeah, he's 8 years younger than me. I'm a big fan of Eddie Hall. It's the mohawk and beard.
Nice.
Definitely not the muscles.
But yeah, I think in those situations we should find common ground. You know, find something that we both agree on, and then work from there. You know, 'cause that's
a lot of the teams that I have had these dramas and arguments with. Some of them I'll never work with. If you're disrespectful to property, people, no, I want no part in it. But some of them, I mean, exploring with Josh. He emailed me one day and he was like, right, you keep trashing the DR60. Why? So I sent him this massive long email and he was like, shit, bro, I paid $3,000 for that and I've got to bin it. And I'm like, right, you've got a bit of respect for me there.
Yeah.
It wasn't that this is what this was supposed to have been. It wasn't that he was faking, potentially. It was that he just believed too much. And that's what this was originally going to be, wasn't it? It was a belief versus I can't remember how you initially messaged me about it, but it was about belief and fake. Like, if you believe, because I don't want to be I don't want to upset anyone in America, but Americans as a rule are far more fanatical about everything. Football,
I'm not gonna argue.
football, baseball, basketball, wrestling, religion. You're either all in or you're all out. There doesn't seem to be much of a happy medium. We're in the UK, and nobody in the UK get upset when I say the UK just goes, eh. We've got a little pockets of like certain church groups are like, we are fanatical and we will knock your door on a Sunday. And to those people, I open the door in my pants with all my tattoos. Like, what? But it's something I've had to learn is the American audience and the American creators, they seem more gullible without sounding horrible. You're not, obviously, but you...
You're right. I think I know what you're saying, but yeah, they're easy. It's easier to believe at face value. Like Americans, you tend to take things at face value without fact checking, and I've seen it a lot. And the DR60 is a perfect example. And with Exploring with Josh, I mean, that was out there. It was promoted as something special. You know, some of the ghost hunting channels use them, or the TV shows, the network TV shows, use them and promoted them. I mean, Zack Baggins still uses it, and it's out there and it's promoted this way, so it becomes that tribal knowledge. People start using it because celebrities use it, and there's that idea that it's real. How do you explain these growls? How do you explain the noises that come out of it? And that goes back to my one of my rants a few minutes ago, is that if you're going to call yourself an investigator, you're supposed to investigate this shit and learn, why does it do it? Don't just accept it at face value. Learn how it works. And that's the problem with all the equipment. Nobody bothers to, well, not nobody. Most of the people don't bother to learn how it actually works, how it interprets data, how it gets the signal, how it gives you the readout, what it means. They don't do that. They see it on TV. If it lights up, it's a ghost. That's not how it works.
No, and this is the thing with the UK. There's not many American teams I support, purely because everything is so over the top, dramatic. I do like a American channel called Paranormal Quest, but I like them more because they were too over the top, and then they started watching me, and then they were like, maybe we need to stop saying that this REM pod activation is a ghost and say it's interesting. And they dialed that back. And then one night it turned up into one of their... they did a live stream on an investigation. I turned up and they were like, shit, Beardo's here. Hide the REM pods, hide the EMFs. And I was like, but I liked that. And they're like, oh, we'd love to get you on the podcast. And these are not a small channel, but they're willing to learn from us. And I know they watch us all and they try to incorporate what we are seeing without compromising their beliefs, which is fair enough, you know?
Right.
Does Kenny have an NFL team?
I do not. I don't watch sports at all. I am a total nerd. Comic book nerd. Star Wars all the way. Star Wars, Scooby-Doo. Love that. I don't watch. My wife watches football and baseball. She's the big sports fan. I am not at all.
Yeah, I think I would have about as much fun with all of your geeky, nerdy stuff as you would if you came here. I mean, my pride and joy right now is... have you been watching X-Men 97?
Yes.
It's the best thing Marvel have done in a decade. I have the entire lineup of the figures over there. I was just like... I bought them both. They're both line. Just, cool. Yeah. And like Star Wars, all of it, yeah. Star Wars is big for me. Marvel, DC, and it's like Marvel or DC, both. Why have I got to pick?
Right.
And while I'm at it, throw Image in as well because I love Spawn. I love this, even the Sons of Anarchy comic book run and stuff.
I love it all. I love weird things. I love comic book things. I love geeky things. It's just that's the way I am. I mean, you see the stuff behind me. If I give you a tour around the room, it's just more and more stuff. Toys. There's Slimer up there. What else? I got Bigfoot. There's a Bigfoot right there with a Yeti behind them. But tons of stuff all over the place. I have the best office of everyone in this building. But yeah, no sports teams.
No, I'm not sporty as such. I used to love rugby because I used to play rugby way back in the day, but I don't got time for it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I watch MMA. I like watching that.
I used to until it became the WWE.
Yeah. I mean, I did martial arts for a while. I loved it. I loved getting into fighting, and then I changed employment, and I couldn't make training anymore, and then I got fat. And that's all she wrote about that.
Yeah, a long time. Mr. Gree was on the other night. He's like, yeah, I haven't been to the gym in, I think he said it was 7 weeks. I was like, I can relate, but it's been about 7 years.
Yeah, about that.
Yes, I'd like to, Joe, we could do a stream or a pre-recorded just about all the geeky stuff and the collectibles and...
Yeah, because this is nothing.
I've seen your basement.
Yeah, oh yeah. The basement's got tons of stuff in there. But yeah, we could do that just for fun one day. You know?
Yeah. I like to do the odd different thing. Like I did a Nightmare on Elm Street because it was, to me, it's the most influential film I've ever seen. Not because it's cinematically perfect, but because it scared the absolute shit out of me. Absolutely traumatized me. And to me, it's like for a movie that has had an emotional impact on you, it's like I've never been as scared as watching Freddy Krueger in the original. I was way too young to have watched it, so I did a random like discussing A Nightmare on Elm Street and why it scared me. And the video, nobody watched it, or very few people watched it. But it's my favorite video that I've made.
Friday the 13th got me. That was the first horror film that I went to. My uncle took me to a drive-in theater and to see Friday the 13th. And I was, oh my God, it was, when was that? 1980? I was 8 years old.
I was an itch.
But all I remember is hiding in the back seat of the car because somebody got stabbed with a pole through their stomach. It was it was a guy and a girl. They were messing around. They got stabbed right through the stomach or something. And I was like, oh my God, I want to go home. So
yeah, I was either 4 or 6 that age, and Nightmare on Elm Street. Way too young. I was too young to understand who Freddy Krueger was because I described him as a guy that looked like a poo. But I was old enough to understand that he killed you in your sleep, and it fucked me up.
Wow. Okay.
Kenny, what's your favorite horror movie?
I like Poltergeist.
It's a good film.
That was a good one. Yeah.
Do you reckon she was based on Lorraine?
The what?
The little lady. This house is clean.
Oh my God.
Do you reckon she was based on Lorraine?
Do you think so?
I think there's a bit of it in there.
It was yeah. That was my favorite horror movie, just because it had everything and yeah, I thought it was cool.
Do you know what's really messed up with Poltergeist? It was a PG movie. The guy peels his face off into a sink, and it was a PG movie.
Was it?
Yep. I think it was that and Raiders of the Lost Ark that made the PG-13.
I don't remember. Maybe you had a different version.
You don't remember the guy peeling his face off into the sink?
Oh, I do. I do remember that, but I don't remember the rating for it.
Yeah, it was sold like Steven Spielberg made it, even though it was Toby Hooper and Steven. Yeah.
Wow. Parental guidance. Oh yeah, don't worry. Your face really doesn't peel off like that. Okay, Mom.
Caroline, go to the light, Caroline. That movie was terrifying.
She was terrifying. Her voice was terrifying.
Yeah. We were built different in the 80s. We all got issues now.
Oh my God.
So when you see those TikToks, I don't like TikTok, but you see those TikToks where it's like 80s kid bashes his knee on the table. Oi!
Yeah.
And then 90s kid bashes, ow! 2000s kid rolling on the floor, and then the last kid is like, "Oh, my vagina hurts."
Hey, I was born in the 70s, so
you're a different breed.
We're different. Yeah, we walk into things and it's like whatever. Just keep walking.
Favorite horror movie was The Wizard of Oz. Those damn flying monkeys. Hey, go and watch Return to Oz. The Wheelers. They were scary when I was a kid. They were nice.
Yeah, the horror movies just today, I don't like them. They're just boring.
What did I watch last night? Late Night with the Devil. It's shown as a 70s Jimmy Carson style show, but there's an exorcism type thing dropped in it.
I thought you were going to say like it's filmed like 70s porn.
No, it's shown on the aspect ratio of a square TV, the sound and filters, and they've obviously made it look like the 70s. The guy that plays the lead in it, I don't know his name, but he's in everything, and he's only got a small part. He's like in The Dark Knight, he's in all these different films, Suicide Squad, but he's only got a very small part. And in this, he's fantastic as this 70s flamboyant, like, overly grinning, gesturing. That film, about halfway through, just goes fucking nuts. I was like, this is pretty cool. And then it ended. I was like, that's a very smart horror film. And stupid people are going to say, that wasn't scary. Like, there's a film, I always forget the name of it, with Toni Collette in it, and the kid that clicks her tongue with a budgie with the head gets ripped off and stuff. Loads of people were like, this film is boring, it's boring, it's boring. That film, I lost sleep over it. Mrs. Geek will be able to put in the comments now what it was called. Hereditary. That film got to me. Have you not seen Hereditary, or have you seen it?
I don't think I've seen it.
It's a very cerebral film. There's lots of stuff in the background, and because I look at the background, there's little bits, and then the end of the film, it goes a little bit too far, but up until a point, it's like, that's the creepiest, most unsettling thing I've ever seen. Really, really good.
I think I've become desensitized to horror because I'm just not. I put it on usually like late at night because I'm up late. I'm usually up really late, and I'm working. I'm usually like sitting at the dining room table. I'm working. I have the TV on in the living room, and I'll put a horror movie on just to have background noise. And just I try to watch them, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't scary. This is going to happen. Oh, she's dead. He's dead. He's going to screw up. And I think I'm just not. I'm not in the zone anymore. It doesn't scare me. I don't lose sleep at all. But maybe that's just because I'm dead.
I'm very desensed. Horror games scare the shit out of me. I can't help it. The jump scares are just.
I watch you sometimes, and you come around a corner and something will flash on screen. And you're like, whoa!
Whoa is the polite term for what I normally do, but yeah, I mean, I've nearly punched my monitor on certain games because they're so well made. But horror right now, I don't think horror's in a very good place. There's very few things come out now that are intelligent. Like, people were saying The Nun 2 came out, it was 10 times better than the original, and it is. But the original was shit. And the second one was like, it's got better jump scares in it, and they earn one of them.
Right. Yeah, it just wasn't. I didn't like.
But Hereditary is it's a psychological, almost a psychological assault on you, and you watch it a second time and you notice more, and then you're like, I could watch it a third time and spot a bit more, and such a good movie.
That's cool.
The first Phantasm blew my mind. I barely remember those movies.
I never got into them.
Beardo gets jump scared if he farts too loud. Hey, Scottish pride.
I mean,
I tried to press my ban button then, it don't work on you.
You gotta load it in. You gotta load it into the video section.
Yeah, I will do. If I do more of these, yeah.
Right.
Evil Dead films, all amazing. I love the Evil Dead films. They've never made a bad one. But are they scary?
Yeah.
Zack,
Evil Dead? No. They're not scary.
They have elements of them that are scary.
I guess they're supposed to be, but I find it fun.
But look at when they were made as well, and the budget they had. I mean, they didn't have a budget. They were college students, and
right.
Beardo hates spoons. You can suck my ass as well.
Oh boy. Here we go.
People don't like the recent House of Usher, but I loved it. Not scary. I give up after 3 or 4 episodes. Same as American Horror Story. The first 2 seasons of that, I loved it. By season 3, I was like, if that same woman keeps crying every episode, I'm going to headbutt my TV. I'm turning it off. Horror movies today rely too much on special effects and not enough building with suspense and fear.
Right.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Thanks for the £5, Dean. Yeah, they used to, like, Freddy Krueger is always lumped in with the cheap slashers because of the sequels, but that was a very cerebral film. The initial thing was, obviously, he was designed around the Hat Man and a guy that Wes Craven saw.
Yeah.
So they designed the jumper, the red and green stripes, because there's something psychological with the red and green that makes you uncomfortable. The sound was designed specifically. That's a smart horror movie. And then they turn him into a bit of a joke. And then in the most recent,
it's like how far can we push these special effects? How ridiculous can we make the evil entity look? Like crab walking and all that, like that just goes to extremes anymore. And he's right, there's no building of suspense, there's no, like, I mean, we shouldn't see the evil thing until the 3rd act, something like that. Build it up.
I think I read, Papal told me that Robert Englund is in about 9 minutes of the original Nightmare on Elm Street, fully lit.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, that's what works. Same as Michael Myers. You barely see him. The original Friday the 13th, you don't see the killer until the very, very end. And then it's like, because I'm not a Friday the 13th fan. I don't like the original.
It was a good twist. It was a good twist ending.
It was, but then...
No, like Jason Voorhees. And then you watch the original and realize wasn't him.
Blair Witch back in the
Oh, Blair Witch.
Blair Witch doesn't hold up now. Back in the day, it got me. It didn't get me until me and the boys had finished watching it in the cinema, and then they were like, "Should we go camping?" Yeah.
Yep.
And then there was a bit of the devil's lettuce going on. The paranoia kicked in after watching that. We were like, going home.
That was good for the time.
It was a marketing masterpiece.
Yeah.
Because the internet wasn't really a thing then.
Yeah.
You had the internet, but you couldn't just search the Blair Witch and then get 150 billion results. It was like, it's a movie. It's this thing in the cinema. That's all you got.
Yeah.
Did you know the joke Freddy and Scream was Wes Craven? I did. I'm a horror nerd. I take in and assimilate so much. It's actually ridiculous. And I think that's why I'm so thick in other aspects of my life. Too much crap in my brain. The scariest film I've ever seen was The Loved Ones. I've never heard of that. Not a clue. Now I'm going to have to watch Hereditary again. Do it.
Loved Ones.
The second Blair Witch film is weird. I thought the second Blair Witch film was fucking awful. Awful.
I don't think I even watched it.
Don't. It's like a Scooby-Doo live action, but without any smart writing in it. Shredmeister, thank you for the $20. What do you think about the Chucky TV series Beardo and Kenny? First season was great. Second season, I turned it off.
Haven't watched either one. I cannot watch a series because I have an addiction problem. Like if a series is released, I binge it.
Yeah.
I just binge it, and I'll usually start at like 6 or 7 o'clock at night and then just go through the entire season. So it's like 3 or 4 in the morning by the time I'm done. So
yeah, I have the same issue.
Yeah, I'm very selective when I decide to look at it or watch.
The People Under the Stairs was great but underrated. Completely agree. That film was well ahead of its time. I absolutely adore that film. Didn't realize it was as campy as it was until I watched it again as an adult. As a kid, it scared the shit out of me. Chucky is funny, not scary. Robert the Doll is scary. He's not, because I've watched 8 or 9 different videos where they say if you look at a video or a photograph of Robert the Doll, you die.
Yeah, still here.
still here.
Seen it, done it, looked at pictures. Yeah, nothing.
2 legends on screen at once. Amazing time. Much respect to you both. I'd love to do this monthly, to sit down with Kenny. I don't know. Maybe we do 1 month my channel, 1 month your channel, and
yeah, we could do that.
I
wouldn't mind because I do almost the same thing. Like when I do my show Friday, well, after yours. So I usually watch you while I'm working, and then I do mine later on tonight. And it's most often I do an open mic night, which is just I take questions all night and we talk about topics. And once in a while I get someone come on, if they want to jump on real quick and ask their question live, or I have a guest once in a while that's an actual expert in their field, so we get to pick their brain on it. But I like doing this where it's somebody else that we can bounce ideas off of and just hang out and talk, and see what happens. Because you get good perspective. I like the different perspectives, we have different perspectives on things.
Yeah, we've got a very different outlook on some things, but we can be respectful of each other. And that's something people need to learn and understand, just because Kenny has said that something I've done is wrong or I've got something wrong, I'm not going to say he's a bully, because we're adults and I can go, oh shit, yeah. Or maybe one day Kenny will say, you've got that wrong, and I'll be like, aha, bullshit, Mr. Biddle. Check this out. And then he'll tell me I'm wrong anyway, because he's worked it out. But, I mean, some of you guys would have seen the Kelser Ann case, where I was like, I don't know how that's done. Is it a remote in a drawer? Is it this? Is it that? And then you recreated it scene for scene you know.
Yeah.
And then you've got that divvy that everyone keeps asking me to debunk, and I won't because he's only doing it to get views. Manchester 666.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, Kenny caught you. You can't change the goalposts after and then work out a different way to do it. You fucking bellend. Sorry.
That guy was. I mean, that we were going back and forth, and I mean, to be honest, to be fair, it was a good challenge. I actually enjoyed it because it was coming up with different ways of doing things, and I had no idea. Like when I started the videos, no idea how he was doing it. Maybe a slight one. But then I'd work it out, you know. I'd spend an hour.
What I didn't like was he lied then after it, and he changed the goalposts, and I don't like that. You caught him fair and square, and then he's like, "No, it was a yellow rope." No, it wasn't. Divvy.
Yeah, I know. You don't admit that. Yeah, you faked everything, and then the next day, oh no, I was just kidding. You know, let's go back to believing me. So give me views so I can make money.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't do a video on him. He doesn't deserve. He was purposely targeting us. Like, come on, debunkers, come at me because it's a growing audience, a growing trend. I was like, yeah, you're doing that on purpose. And let's be fair, Kenny is just shit all over everything you've ever put out. Look, Beardo's doll in the eye, and I had a call saying it's 10 days. I'm glad you lot are laughing because some people thought I was serious. They didn't get to the end of the video to see me stretching the skin out, the string out, and hiding behind the wall and peeking my head around. Kenny Biddle on the TV behind me. This is where I learned this. Kenny said if you do it with filters and background and B-roll, that's exactly what I did. And people were like, some people were genuinely pissed. Like, you fake the haunted doll. How dare you? I was like, yeah, but I was honest about it. And then others were like, don't mess with that. Don't mess with that. Kill it with fire.
Oh, no, you know, like that's one of the things that I try to teach people is that when you see these TikTok videos, which are very short, or you see YouTube videos where they show you a clip, you know, it's like a minute or 2 minute clip. You have to remember how much time they put into it because you don't see all that. You don't like it. Something might take me an hour to set up, to stage, to run through it, to practice it because I didn't get it right the first 50 takes, you know, but you're going to see take 51, which was perfect. And it's the one that I look through, make sure nothing's showing. And that's what I'm going to insert in my video and say, look at the footage that I got. And
Jolene, what am I not listening to?
Uh-oh.
Mods are shouting at me.
You're in trouble.
I'm not. I'm your boss. Silence. Have they messaged me? No. It's not. I haven't got in trouble then. Beardo, happy birthday. No, thanks, Shred, for the donut. Oh, Shred. Did I not thank Shred for the 20? I thought I did. Chucky TV series, $20. I'm sure I did. Shred, thank you for the 20. Maybe I just read your comment and didn't thank you. I'm very, very sorry. Beardo, if you had to make a video to explain it, there's officially no hope for you. I'm not making a video to explain the fake video that I explained at the end.
It's already there.
It's bad enough when I've got to put out a video to explain other stuff like, oh, it's just nuts. How do people have time to set up all these things and film them? Money.
Yeah.
Kenny did a doll series where there was a doll that should have had batteries in it, and then you recreated it without, and you had to get a battery pack on it and things.
Yeah.
And then the original lady that faked it, I don't think she ever admitted it, but she was like, she dropped hints like, yeah, it wasn't this. Right. That was smart. Absolutely loved that. I mean, just because I don't comment on it all, I watch everything Kenny puts out, and so should you guys. If you want to learn how to debunk and how to look logically at things, go watch Kenny. He's been pinned all night.
I try. I mean, you don't. Nobody sees. Well, my wife does. My wife and my coworkers, but my wife most of the time sees all the work behind the scenes. Like, I get obsessed. I really do. When I see something and I have that idea, like I know it was done. I know it was tricked. I got to figure it out. I'll leave here, like quitting time. I'll go home. I'll sit there for 10 minutes and go, nope. I got to figure this out. And then I'm up until I figure it out. And it may take me another hour. It may take me 2 or 3 days, but I will be obsessed on that until I figure it out.
Calling Chaos, who's your favorite character in X-Men 97, Beardo? Without giving spoilers away, no. Yeah, Gambit. Gambit's always been my favorite in the X-Men cartoons. Always loved Gambit. Bit of a rogue. Bit of even an outcast for the X-Men. Yeah, Gambit was always my favorite, and I'm pissed. Is SW a Native American hiker? Carl, no, it's
oh boy.
I refuse to say the word because when I used to do top fives quite a lot, Native Americans got in touch with me to say the word is offensive to their belief system because it's something they fear, and that's why I don't say it. But there's a documentary called The Skin W Estate where they got a 3-hour documentary and fuck all happens. The weirdest thing in it is Robbie Williams, a singer in the UK nobody gives a shit about, turns up smoking cigarettes. We've been filming this for 11 years. Well, what have you got to show for it? Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Maybe if you filmed it for 11 years and you think you have something, maybe you should publish your work. Like reach out to a scientific journal and publish it. Get it peer reviewed. What's that? Who knows?
Don't get me started on Dybbuk boxes. Not only are they fake AF, but they're offensive to the Jewish people. Not only that, but there's only supposed to be one Dybbuk box. There was only ever supposed to be one.
Well, that's...
everything else came from a movie starring Negan. Jeffrey Dean Morgan. It all came. That movie came out, and then it's all over the internet. And you got Mindseed buying them off the dark web. No, they didn't. They just dripped candle wax over his mother's makeup kit.
I had Kevin Manis. He came on my show. He's the guy that originally created the story behind that. He's the original one with the eBay auction.
Yeah.
So I had him come on my show, and he admitted that he made up the story. So it's completely false. And yeah, he took Jewish folklore and he twisted it, because I mean, when you get into the Dybbuk and the mythology behind it, it doesn't fit what Kevin Manis's story described. You don't trap shit in a box. Besides the fact that it's been opened so many times. Like, how is something trapped in a box? You keep opening the damn thing. So no. And I mean, I did a whole video on that. I did an article. I did a video where not only did I talk to Kevin Manis, but I also spoke to a rabbi that was an educational. He was a professor of education. That we spoke at length on the legend, the mythology, and this box and what he thought about it. Yeah, so I get it. Not only are they fake, but they're offensive. Yeah, because they're exploiting the Jewish folklore or Jewish faith. Because they're trying to incorporate that story into something it's just not true. I have one. I have a mini bar. I won't call it a Dybbuk box, but I have the exact model, and I know like where it came from. I know the manufacturer. I know when it was manufactured. And here's a tidbit. I didn't know if you knew this, but according to the story, the original Dybbuk box that when the woman escaped from the concentration camp and went to Spain. Yeah. Was destroyed.
All right.
So, yeah, that's part of the story when you read the book. That's part of the story Kevin made up later, because once it came out that it was a mini bar, he couldn't account for like, oh shit, there's a discrepancy in my story here. So he had to make up that part.
Let's talk EMF. I just did a video on a supposed haunted hotel and debunked the hauntings there. That's a very broad subject, is EMF.
I mean, what do you want to know? Because I mean, there's a lot. There's a part that's going to be in one of your videos coming up.
Yeah. honestly, watch Monday's video. There's a 25-minute segment from Kenny in there with EMF recorders, and a whole host of other bits of kit that we all use. And I nearly binned mine because I was just like, Kenny shit on this, Kenny shit on this. Oh, do you know what? I may as well throw this in there. No, but it was interesting because they are not being used. Probably. Now, ghost hunters, Jason taught us high EMF. It's not a ghost. It's hallucinations, auditory phenomena. It's a very logical thing. You need to look for high EMF for this, but we're all reading those EMF recorders wrong anyway.
Right.
So yeah.
And then what's high? What's high EMF? Like, that's a question that we have to ask. What's that mean? You know, is 2 milligauss high? Is 10? Is 20? You know, what's the threshold? Where are the protocols? There are none. That's the problem. And I mean, you can, depending on how far away you are from a source, you can make it haunted hotels trigger me.
You should have said.
You can make the reading go higher or lower depending on how far away you are from the source. So there is no, I mean, unless you're in the middle of nowhere, and I can't even say that because not every meter is the same. I mean, you have
Skytalk. Thank you for the 6 months.
Some meters go to like 6 milligauss, some go to 10, some go to 15, 20, and then 200, and then more. So again, like, what's the threshold? There is no, it is none. So I think it's kind of silly altogether because there is no basis for using it. It's something that I honestly think came from Ghostbusters. I think people saw the PKE meter.
PKE meter.
Yeah. And said, hey, what handheld device can we use and walk around with that might give us some kind of quote unquote energy reading? Oh, EMF meters. Yeah, we can do that. That's good. And it just became part of the toolkit.
Yeah. It's you opened my mind so much with that. Like, I was gonna just drop it in the video. I was like, this, he said cut out what I need to cut out, and I watched it. I was like, I'm just putting it all in effort because like, obviously I knew the REM pod was the instrument and all the rest of it, but I understand why people use them, because if it's a team that I trust that are not taking two-way radios, people I've worked with, I know they're not using radios, but then they never go off for us. But then I watch other teams, and it's like, why have you put it in the doorway? Is it because somebody can just reach around really easily and pull their hand back in, and then you can cut the video as you run or spin your camera? But yeah, I literally sat there. Like, people are saying to me, why are you doing the Ouija board? It's like, look, I had a bad experience with one. I want to experience that again. As wrong as that sounds, I want to experience again. So far, nothing. It hasn't moved a fraction of a centimeter or even a millimeter. And people are like, the ideomotor effect. And I'm like, I haven't even had that. But I'm going to keep taking it, and I'm going to keep doing it, because one day maybe it'll move. And then I can see, well, maybe that person was pushing it, or maybe it was a collective ideomotor, whatever. But so far, everyone is like, it's all fake. It's all moved through ideomotor. And I'm like, it's not moved.
I mean, I think when you're aware of it, you're more conscious of it, and you're not going to push it. You're going to, I mean, I did an experiment years ago where I had a few people over, and we were playing with it just to see what's going to happen. Not anything mystical, but it was more like, let's go through this process and see if we can identify problems with playing with this thing. And one of the biggest problems was fatigue, because you are holding your arms up and you're trying to keep it lightly on the planchette and not rest it on the planchette. So that constant stress, you get fatigued. And when you start dropping your arms, and we could see it on everyone, you could see their arms and shoulders going down. And once it got to a certain limit, just naturally, because of how your arms flex and everything, you naturally kind of nudged it a little bit. And when it did nudge, people went with it. And it just went off the board because everyone was just like, all right, we're going this way. Boom, it's over.
Who said 100% ghosts are energy? Not a clue.
I don't know. I think
I haven't got a clue.
It became a buzzword. You know, my response to when people say ghosts are energy, what kind of energy? Like, we have different kinds, different types that we've identified. Tell me what type of energy ghosts are made of or manipulating. Let's get into that. And it usually dies there. The conversation dies.
Is there an EMF reader you would recommend using to debunk if we are looking for EMF levels that would cause the feelings of a haunting?
So this is a little detailed, but I mean, you would have to have multiple tri-field meters set up in a room with data loggers. You need multiple readings per second in order to get a reading that is actually, you would have to do that. You'd have to have multiple meters in the room taking multiple readings per second on data loggers for at least a year in order to get a pattern, a base pattern of what's going on. And until you do that, walking in with just one or two isn't giving you the data that you need. And as for feelings of what could cause a haunting, most cases, I mean, you can go to like the God helmet experiments with Dr. Persinger that did that, but they were focused. They were actually solenoids on a motorcycle helmet that shot specific frequencies in a rotating pattern, not all at once, but a rotating pattern into your head that caused like people to feel like there was somebody in the room with them and stuff like that. But that's very localized, and that's not going to be reproduced in the field like that. So I wouldn't recommend any EMF meter because I honestly see no use in having that.
I've got two different models. I've got a tri-field and I've got the grey one that you put big skewers through. And they both max out when you get near a little speaker in the TV, which says it's shit. Both of them. Right, we can't go for too much longer because Kenny's got his own stream later this evening. For all you guys in the States or late nighters in the UK, make sure you tune into that. But Beardo's suggestion: make a Ouija board out of quartz, including the planchette. Planchette kegs made of copper. Touch the board edges and power the board that way. The board should amplify energy.
Planchette kegs made of copper. I'm sorry, that doesn't make any sense. You're not gonna. I mean, a quartz, you have the piezoelectric effect, but it produces a small piece of electricity or a small amount of electricity when it's under pressure, and you actually have to put it under immense pressure. It doesn't just power things, and I don't know what you mean by powering a board or a planchette. I'm not sure what that means.
No. What happens when the old TCS gave off that static feeling? I walk into a room and felt it. The Tri-Field 2 was maxing out in the whole room. The room was supposed to be the most haunted, possibly because of the static feeling. Immediately gives you the hairs standing up from static, and you're immediately going to feel odd.
You would have to have two different devices because I mean, if there's static electricity in the air, if there's a static buildup, that won't necessarily trigger on your EMF. And the tri-field meter, if that's in the middle of the room, 2 was maxing out in a whole room. So the tri-field doesn't measure the entire room. You have to understand that electromagnetic fields drop off significantly from the source. So basically, if I have
your fan,
my fan. That's right. Holy shit, I don't even know where it is. But a table fan. I don't even know where it is. A table fan, like a tabletop fan. if I was right on that, I was maxing out.
I can't pull it because of the wire, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, something like that. But yeah, it would max out at 200 milligauss up right against it. I mean, it would actually top out. So I didn't know what the reading is. But when I came back about 6 inches off of it, it went down to under 10. So the tri-field meter in the middle of the room will not measure the entire room. And there's so much more. I'm not going to give it away because I do explain a lot of this in your video. So I don't want to give it away. Watch his video Monday night.
Yeah, what's the Monday video? It's the longest video I've ever put out. I think that's not an investigation. And I cut my segment down because yours, it was like, all right, I cut this, I can cut that. No, it's perfect. And you pretty much shit on things that I do in investigations, but you did it logically. You did it with explanations, science, and I'm like, right, I've fucking bin that. I don't need that anymore. I mean, I'm not saying I'm binning the EMF detector, because if I put it in the middle of a room with it and I say, could you give 1 for yes, 2 for, or up to a 3, and it does it time and time again for specific questions, specific answers, it's interesting. I'm not saying it's a ghost, it's interesting.
Then you take the next step.
But I've never ever had my equipment do that. I have never had anything go off in response to anything ever, apart from a cat ball once. And yeah, I left that cat ball exactly where it was, and it was like I could have asked it any question, and at some point it would have answered, because those 2 little balls. I did the same as you. I took one apart. I wanted to know how it worked. Mine had a foil strip in it, and I worked mine out as temperature fluctuations. The foil was bending and connecting the circuit.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Mod love, absolutely. You gotta love the mods. The mods do a fantastic job. I genuinely thought some people might get pissed at this, back and forth. But I think everyone has realised what we're about, what we're trying to do. You're not trying to crap on everyone. You're looking for the truth. I'm looking for the truth. We just coming at it from different directions, and we ask each other questions. I don't think you've ever asked me anything, to be fair. If I get stuck, I'll come to you. I'll come to Mr. Grey. If it's a video editing thing, I'll go to Purple. And yeah, I don't just want to throw shit at the wall to see what sticks. I want to learn. As it says behind Mr. Biddle's head, never stop learning.
That's right.
There's certain books that he's held out on his live streams, on his podcasts, because I watched them after because of the time zones. I've bought some. I've bought books that other people have put out there because I want to learn. I want to understand. I've watched documentaries about Harry Price, and I've watched documentaries about Houdini, and how they basically debunked an entire movement that everyone was borderline convinced was science to a degree. And I'm interested in it all. I want to assimilate it all. And my wife sat there going, that's quite interesting. Do you think we're actually nuts? I was like, Kenny reckons we are.
Right, so, I mean, that's actually a good point to address. Like, I don't think people are nuts, and my first thought is never, you're crazy. There's a few, like, if I see someone that's very angry and they're walking up to me, I'm like, oh shit, here we go. But basically, I don't think people are crazy or nuts or anything like that. I think there's a lot of mistakes being made, and I think that's what I do. That's what I work towards, to improve the quality of everyone's work. So if I can spend time taking apart some gadget and show you what's inside and what it really does, then that benefits all of us, because you learn about it, you learn more about it, and learn what to avoid, what to do with it, how to control it. And I do have that time. I have that luxury because it is part of my job. I can sit here and take shit apart as long as I don't set off the fire suppression system. I mean, they're fine with me taking stuff apart and experimenting. And I think that's beneficial for all of us. So yeah, I'm not out to poo-poo on everyone's parade.
No, not at all.
I just want everyone to do better. That's all.
Fantastic Publishing, thank you for the membership. I appreciate it. Right, we are going to be wrapping up soon. We've gone 24 minutes over. Kenny's got his own live in a couple of hours, and he's going to... Because you're at work now, right?
I'm at work, yeah. So I'm run home, grab dinner, and then come back.
Poor guy. Right, guys, we'll put out... Or I'll put out a community post about your questions that we didn't get around to tonight. It's really difficult on our live stream because obviously there's been 300 and I think we hit 380 people at one point.
That's great.
We're not going to be able to get around everyone's, so maybe we'll do like a community post, get all of your questions in, or maybe we'll set up a new email address where you can send questions in to us, and then maybe we could tackle them sort of once a month, bounce it back and forth between the channels. And then we can try and get around everybody's questions, people's photographs. I'm not going to be able to debunk your photographs because I'm not into it, or not. I don't know enough about it, but Kenny does. There could be certain things that me. No, that's a stupid comment. I was going to say Kenny wouldn't know that I would, but what a stupid comment to make. But yeah, we haven't ignored anyone on purpose. We haven't skipped over anything on purpose. It's just too busy for us, and we'd love to get around all of you guys. Maybe the way to do that is you guys send in your comments, send in your experiences, and me and Kenny can take a look at them, and once a month, if we've got the time, try and put something out, bounce it between the channels, give Kenny some love. That would be amazing.
It's easier to do, I think, you on your side, because if you have to stay up late for my channel. But I'm good. I mean, if you don't mind staying up, like,
hey, once a month, if we can get some love over your way, I can stay up once a month. Absolutely.
That's great.
I'm all about helping out good people with good content and good ideas, you know. Yeah. So Kenny, anything you want to say to the weirdos?
I appreciate everyone coming out in the comments. I've been watching on the side here, the comments, and for the most part, everyone's been great and great questions. And I love the community. I love everyone's support, and that you guys support Beardo is great. I mean, he wouldn't be here without you.
No,
I wouldn't be here without you. So, I mean, it's nice that we can all interact, and hopefully, I mean, maybe in the next year or two, I'll be able to do a tour over the pond, across the pond, and see some of you guys. I would love to meet up and actually go to a location and hang out and see what we can find or not find. So yeah,
at some point I'm going to be coming to the UK with Joe, and absolutely, I mean, Jason's like, yeah, come stay in my pool house, and we'll get Kenny over, and we'll chill. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Jason's like a 6-hour drive to me, so that's not bad at all. I love the drive, so 6 hours is nothing.
I mean, 6 hours in the UK is to any point.
Yeah,
for you, it's the next state.
that gets me across one state and like half another. So that's it.
I can get to Scotland, which is 2 countries away, in 6 hours.
Wow, yeah. That's great.
Right, right. So I'll put Kenny into the green room, guys. I'll do my goodbyes, and then guys, go and check out Kenny Biddle. He is like, how many hours from you because of the time zones?
How many hours?
4 hours until you're live?
It's
3.5.
3.5. 3.5, yeah.
3.5 hours. Kenny Biddle is live on which channel are you live on?
So I'll be live on the I Am Kenny Biddle Facebook page and Kenny Biddle YouTube channel.
Right, when we end, send me some links, and I'll post them in the video description. Check the video description. Go and support the guy. He's very nice, and obviously his magazine that he keeps holding up there. See, we need something like this in the UK.
Do you? You do have I think it's called The Skeptic. That's one of my latest articles.
True haunting or not? I bet he's shit all over it.
Totally did.
Yeah, Kenny's 4 hours behind me, I think. Is it 4 or 3 now? 4.
It's 4:30 here.
Right, it's 9:30 here.
All right.
Right, so yeah, Kenny's live in 4 hours. Go check out the live there. I might not be awake for it. I'll try to be.
Yeah, you'll be out.
Go check Kenny out. I'm gonna drop you into the I don't even know how to do it, come to think of it. Well, there we go. I know how to do it. I got it. Right, okay. I'll drop Kenny back. Guys, go support the guy. Drop your subscriptions. Just comment on his videos, please. It helps with the algorithm and stuff. He needs it. We all shout him out as somebody that has influenced all of us. Kenny, thank you very, very much. I love having these conversations with you. It's a lot of fun.
You were welcome. Thank you for having me on. I enjoyed the conversation. It was really good. And I look forward to more.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I just ripped off Jason's thing there. Let's do it. No, it wasn't let's do it, was it? On to the next. Good night, Kenny.
Good night, buddy.
I enjoyed that. It's weird for me to do not reading your guys' stuff. You know what? I just try to read your guys' stuff as quick as I can and blast through them. But I think these streams that are a bit different outtake. Maybe we could do this with some viewers at some point. You know, if a viewer wants to come on, talk about an experience or something. I think I quite enjoyed that. I couldn't do it every stream, but so guys, I am going to be heading out. I'm going to say goodnight to Kenny in a second. I don't even know how I remove myself. There we go. So please go and check out Kenny. If you're awake in 4 hours' time, you know what to do. Subscribe to Kenny. Go and watch Kenny. We'll post the links in the description. Go and check out his live tonight. I'm going to try and be there. Much love to you all. Beardo out.